This is the X&C Podcast, your Xbox newscast, featuring Colteastwood and Mag, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, X&C Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the Xbox newscast. Well, that's not the right one.
What?
There we go.
We live?
There we go. Yes, we're live. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. It has been a crazy day. We've been digesting news all day. Welcome to XC Podcast. This is episode 258. We've been running the show for about 5 years, and we have a couple of special guests with us. One will be joining us in just a moment, but I want to welcome to the show, again, that blue number. Oh, hold on. I guess your fourth one is about to show up, but welcome.
It's a
How are
cat
you?
in a hoodie.
Hi.
I'll get it. I'll get it.
Everyone.
Give me a
out.
second.
My intro is totally accurate. We planned it like this.
Oh yeah, I got to make sure. I'll get Holly's volume up in a moment here. Okay.
Sorry, guys.
There
No,
we
no,
go.
I'm the quiet, shy one.
Holly, how are you?
Good. Well, I'm good. How? Hi, chat, everyone. Thanks for having me on again. It's been a big day. I was at work doing a lot of stuff, and I looked down at my phone at like 1:30, 2 o'clock, and I was like, "What the heck is going on?" And there was a lot to catch up on. So good to be here to talk about it.
There is. Yeah, there's a lot. I've got to kind of make some adjustments on the fly as we go, but I don't know if Dante, if he has a camera, it will move stuff around, but we'll adjust it
Half my
accordingly.
face disappeared.
Yeah. Which I'll get that figured out as well.
It's okay. The crowd loves it. Only half my face is only half bad now, not full bad.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
I love it. There we go. That'll work a little bit better. Dante, are you there? There he goes.
Hey, there he is.
There he is. Okay. Well, let's start with Dante. If you're on the mic, how are you, bro? Oh,
I've been better.
there he is. There he is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Don't mind me. I will just be adjusting some stuff on the fly so everything looks the way it's supposed to. So, yeah, how you been, man? The news has been crazy. So, how's life?
Yeah, I've been good. Life's been good. Yeah, it's been good. Today is obviously not a cool day. We kind of foresaw this coming down the pipeline, so it's a little bit more. It's more brutal than I was expecting, and I was hoping it would be less. But we're here. We are, and so we'll try to muddle away and talk through it. But yeah, I would say I've been better. I feel bad for all those impacted, man. So it's kind of hard to come off the high off the weekend. We came off this really great high off the weekend and Sunday, and then you come into like the reality of the business, and this is kind of like, okay, now things suck again for the moment. So it's kind of like you put out a tweet that I kind of resonate with, right? Somewhat excited and for what the brand is trying to trending towards, and then at the same time super frustrated, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah, like quite the intro to do. Like as we say, yeah, it's all crazy, and we'll get into what Dante's talking about because there are a lot of bad news stuff rolling in for Xbox. And of course, we have our amazing co-host who's now Brady Bunch below me, Mag,
Yes,
middle-aged
I
game
am.
guy. Thank
Yes,
you
sir.
for being back for another crazy show.
Yes, of course I'm going to be back for another crazy show. It almost sounds like I'm just guesting once in a while. I'll be here, ladies and gentlemen, every week, like it or not. A lot of people not liking it, but hey, it is what it is, folks. We got some things to talk about tonight, obviously, and I got some interesting information that has been coming to me for the last 8 days, and finally, and I kind of hinted at it Friday, funny enough, because I was supposed to do my Friday Night Live where I just game and just whatever, just game and talk, right, with the community and all that. And I'm like, I got some things to say. However, I withheld a lot of information on Friday, which I told them, and I said, hey guys, listen, I've been told specifically to hold it till Monday. And anybody who watched the show will know what I'm talking about, because in the chat they were driving me nuts. They're all like, come on, Mag, tell us now. And I'm like, no, I got to wait till Monday, unfortunately. So, and then funny enough, that news broke before XNC could. So Most of it got out there. However, I do have something very interesting to read to you guys a little bit later. Well, whenever you want to talk about it, but we'll get into that when we get into it.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just getting everything together. I'm glad you guys are here. I appreciate you. It wouldn't be right if I didn't have like this time to share our frustrations and our feelings about everything. I put out a post on social media just a few minutes, before the show, and I said I've never been more excited and more frustrated with Xbox in all of the roller coaster time that they've had over the past 10 years. And it seems to be that way. And we're going to talk about it. If you're just joining the show, if you haven't caught up on the gaming news, there are impending closures of studios. We're going to talk about what that really means. And some people have left. We're going to dig into that. There's a couple of little like icebreaker news things that are a little more exciting. We're going to talk about first, and then we'll dive right into it. I feel like, thank you for being here. I feel like I don't know how to run a show sometimes when you get derailed by news like this. And I guess it's been a long time coming. We've been hearing about it. Sneaker SO, a very prominent leaker, said back in January that the, let's see, am I locked up here? Let me make sure everything's good. Yeah, okay, we're good. He was saying that these layoffs are coming at the beginning of the year. A lot of other leakers were saying it, but now it's really been pushed all the way to July. It looks like it's going to happen either July or right in June. So thank you, everybody. Shout out to my channel members. We appreciate you so much. I don't even know. It's been, let me start. I've got some topics, and you'll see them scrolling along the bottom. I thought I'll talk about, let's talk about something nice first. We'll give you a sandwich, we'll give you a nice piece of carb-loaded bread, and then we'll get into the meat of everything. But Asha Sharma
like
has
a
been
compliment
talking,
sandwich.
Yeah, like one of those, like when your boss is like, "Hey, your hair looks really nice, but you suck as an employee."
Yeah,
yeah.
But we like your ties on casual
Priorities.
Fridays. Yeah, on wacky tacky tie days on Friday, they're nice. Yes, the compliment sandwich.
Friday is Hawaiian shirt day, so Milton, if you want to
Oh
wear
my
that.
God.
So Asha Sharma is basically, and previous leadership said they want to concentrate on their tried and true franchises. But one of the things that came out of that was that Elder Scrolls and Fallout need to come out now, not waiting for more years. And I did a whole video on this, and I thought I would kick it off to Dante to talk about what his expectations are for Elder Scrolls and Fallout in the near future, because it sounds like they want to ramp it up. And I know you're a big fan of both. So what have you heard? What do you know?
I mean, nothing that I can actually talk about. I can tell you, but no joking. No, I haven't heard anything, obviously, especially just the same rumors and speculation that, that's been floating around in the ether, shall we say. But I think we had a conversation the other day where we basically said, like, if they're really, really serious about building the brand, then you got to pull the trigger on something that's going to move the table. And what I mean by that is a game like Elder Scrolls, right? The next Elder Scrolls, obviously the next Fallout. Those are type of games that can make someone say, if you're primarily on console and you don't play on PC or Xbox, to consider buying it on one of those, right? Buying either getting a PC ready or buying a complimentary Xbox because you want to play whatever the next Elder Scrolls game is or the next Fallout game. So like how serious they are about what they want to do with exclusivity, when those games get announced, that will be our telltale sign of like, okay, how hard are they going with this compared to the previous strategy?
Okay. Holly, he brings up a pretty good idea there. Will Elder Scrolls or Fallout 5 be exclusive to Xbox? And keep in mind, things have changed today. And
Well, I actually think the two are intertwined. I think that both of those are just pieces of a puzzle towards a brand healthy strategy in their opinion. Matt Ball coming in I think he's ridiculously smart and he knows business very well. So I think that, all of the pieces of the pie are leading towards them making a healthier brand, and some of it's going to hurt, some of it's going to feel great. And I think Elder Scrolls 5 and Fallout is probably a very significant piece of that, but it is a ways down the road. And you just have to make sure that their plans and the steps that they have in place between now and then remain untouched, and that they can execute the plan and really give it the time that it needs to marinate, to build up to that, to see what they can really do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been diving into all the news that I can find. King Fanman's been putting out great content. Red Wolf Renegades covered 2 Bethesda videos over the past couple days, and I have this like, I feel like it's coming sooner than we think. Meg, I got to ask you. I know you don't follow Elder Scrolls as close as other content creators, but if it was going to be your prediction, when do you think we're going to see Elder Scrolls 6?
See it, like actually like be able to play it, or see it like a trailer kind of thing or whatever?
Trailer.
I think both will be in the same
trailer
year.
Next year. I think maybe at the end of this year, maybe at the Game Awards or something like that. But I still don't think it's coming out in 27. I would imagine 28, something like that would be my guess. Yeah. So I think maybe at the Game Awards we might see like an actual teaser, because it's been what? What's the meme from Titanic? It's been 94 years. Yeah. So since they showed like the Elder Scrolls 6 thing, I would imagine maybe Game Awards they'll show something about that, or maybe even the Xbox 25, which is in November, right?
Yeah.
So there is that. So they may save, instead of the Game Awards, maybe do it there. But it all depends on viewership, right? I mean, like, the Game Awards gets it got like 100 and something million views last year, right?
Yeah.
You might want more eyeballs on it there. So I don't know. You kind of have to weigh it out as to how it's gonna present. But I think we'll see it this year, and then for a 28 release. So, it's exciting. I played the Elder Scrolls games. I played Oblivion. I played Skyrim, and I enjoyed them a lot. I like those kind of games. So, a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Now, Fallout, a lot of people like to bunch Fallout 5 with Elder Scrolls 6. They're like, oh, Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5. And I'm like, guys, Fallout 5 is going to be a while. Okay, so let's calm down. Let's focus on one thing at a time. Let's go with Elder Scrolls 6 first. And there are already people doing play tests on levels and stuff like that, right? Like just like single levels. Like let's try a mission and see how it plays out. Working on like the AI NPCs and stuff like that, and that's all being tested right now. That's been tested since last year, but that's when I first started hearing them doing that. But so it's coming along and it's doing its thing. So that's when I would expect to see it. End of 27 for a 28 release. Or sorry, end of 26 for a 28 release.
Oh, yikes. Todd Howard said he wants to show the game and then release it right afterwards. So I think he's looking at like a summer reveal and then a fall release. But he did say that, they're playing the game. Like he made it sound like the whole game's playable. But, I was telling Dante and That Blue Number when we were in Los Angeles, and I was telling you too, that I saw Todd Howard and he was there. I'm like, why was he there and there was no reveal? I thought that was kind of interesting. How did you see him? He was at the Xbox Mixer, and I took a picture with him. And
at the Mixer, okay.
Yeah, and he just didn't. He wasn't there for. He wasn't there for a Fallout 76 expansion. Like I feel like they were going to show like either Fallout 3 remaster or remake, whatever you call it, or maybe
that's been
tease.
A thing.
I'm not going to tease Elder Scrolls. They'll tease it, but I thought maybe he was there for a big reason. And then they decided, oops, let's hold on for that for next year. It's not going to work right now. And he's like, well, I've already booked my trip. I'll go. I haven't been there in a while. This may be my last year that I can hang out with Xbox while they're still a brand and not, sold off for parts at the.
I checked my garden. When we were out in LA, I checked every single garden. I did not see Todd Howard in any of those gardens.
Every Keebler tree.
Yeah, I was looking for in the trees. I was looking for the garden gnomes. He wasn't there, and then he was at the Mixer clearly. So
Yeah. I don't know.
Hey man, listen. When there's a guy shorter than me, I got to make fun of him. Okay, that's the way it's always going to be. Because when I went to FanFest with you guys, okay, it's like being in a room full of giraffes. Everybody's like. I'm talking everybody's crotch for 4 days. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, oh, hey, King David, how's it going? And I'm like talking to his waist.
Mag. Probably didn't help that you got low on a picture like.
And 108 Dragon, he's got his back to me. I'm not talking to his back. I'm talking to his butt cheek because he's like, it's like the same level as my face. So if there's somebody shorter than me, then I'm making fun of him every single day, Todd Howard.
I'm taller than Meg.
Yeah, even Holly is. I took a picture with 108 Dragon and King David, and I look like a marionette.
Tall.
I look like they were dance little puppet. Let's get into the Xbox news. We were in party chats last night. I swear it's like we were doing a podcast on Xbox Live last night. It seemed like. I want to talk about this concept of Microsoft spinning off Xbox, and a lot of people looked at this the word spinning off as getting rid of and selling off and giving them to Sega or just closing them down, but I actually dug into a lot of the business discussion of this, but I thought I would give it to you guys. We're just going to go a free for all tonight. who has a strong opinion about Microsoft spinning off Xbox? Sounds like it could be a good thing.
Just I don't understand the business differences between like a subsidiary and the like all of the other options. It's very complex, but watched a Jez video talking about it, and he actually was talking about how they have LinkedIn and they have GitHub, and they're set up differently. And he thought that the LinkedIn model, which was more of like a subsidiary, could actually work quite well, give them some autonomy, have them have their own budget, and kind of let them run with their own decisions without having to go to Satya and Amy Hood and other leadership, right, for every major approval. It also gives them a little bit more, they don't have the same umbrella, right, financially speaking, or hardware architect, all that stuff, right? Because they are their own independent group. So it comes with sort of those cons as well, where you're really kind of on your own.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I have heard it's good. Dante? Yeah?
That could be potentially positive if that was the case, because it would make all the decisions that they make, like you'd have to take it that much more serious, right? You don't have the luxury of knowing that you have kind of Big Daddy behind you to kind of bail you out to a degree. But yeah, to me, it has to be how it would actually work out. If it worked out similar to what she's talking about with like a LinkedIn situation, that would be fine. But if they're just kind of left to their own devices to eventually kind of die, then obviously that's a bad look. But the main thing I look at for why I would think it could potentially be beneficial is because right now since its inception, Xbox has been fighting against shareholders, right? Shareholders have constantly basically been like, why are we in the gaming business? All they care about is enterprise, right? So you have the situation where it's like a lot of decisions that we've seen, especially I would think since ABK, are completely driven by shareholders wanting to see ROI, return on investment. So if they got away from a situation where they weren't as beholden to that particular segment of the vocal, like those who are like big time shareholders within Microsoft who actually sit on the board and have conversations that have weight, if this helped them kind of get some autonomy away from that, then that would be a plus if it was really going to happen. But I'm curious to see how that works out, because they've given Xbox a lot of money in the last couple of years between ABK and Bethesda. So it's like, you're not going far. Like, we need to recoup that, right? We need to see that return on investment. So yeah, I would like to see how this would actually work out if it actually does happen. Right now, I think they have bigger fish to fry with actually like, building the brand up and giving fans a reason to feel like we can actually trust them for right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we're going to talk about today that's like really horrible, like this cleansing and reset thing. And Meg, this will be perfect for you. I want to read you a couple of bullet points from the description of a spinoff, because you've worked with big companies and you've like been in the mix of this in your own way. It says the spinoff gives it independence. I'm reading from this here. It says the management will offer a buyout. A negotiated spinoff means the parent company, which would be Microsoft or Microsoft at this point, they would allow them to leave without a purchase. I mean, some of the studios we're going to talk about are possibly being spun off as well, and we'll get into that in a moment. But the parent company can retain IP, but Xbox is going to if they spin off Xbox, do they get to take all their franchises with them and the majority of their leadership people in their studios, or what do you think is going to happen with this?
If they buy themselves out, so to speak, or buy their independence, then yes, they take their IPs with them. Unless there's something behind unless there's some kind of a legal obligation. But then you
like
wouldn't be allowed if there was a legal obligation. Well, the thing is, if there was a legal obligation, then you wouldn't be given an option to buy out. So maybe that's not why everybody is being talked about being bought out. Right? I'm not a lawyer in the situation, so I don't know exactly, what's going on in this particular case, because I don't have everything in front of me. Obviously, when it came to when the companies that I work for, I had everything laid out in front of me, so I knew exactly what was going on. So it's a little bit different. So it's a little bit difficult to answer. However, that being the case, yes, if they do buy themselves out. Now, not all of them can afford that either. So that is going to be a big problem, where what's going to happen, and we'll discuss that a little bit later, is that if they cannot afford to buy out and they were going to get shut down anyway, or effectively they are shut down, they have 30 days for another buyer to come in and take them, assuming that can even happen. However, in this market and the way things are going right now, it's not exactly acquisition season, as has been coined. that phrase has been coined since 2019. So it's not exactly in a position there for that. For example, like Sony, I don't even think, like, I know some people are pointing at Sony, at like some of these companies, like, oh, they'd be great over at, Ninja Theory would be great with Sony. And I'm like, yeah, but, and Sony's still up, even though they took a big hit. I can tell you this, folks, you'll be hearing about this very soon, is that Bungie is going to be I'm sure this is not a surprise to anybody, but Bungie's actually going to be facing some significant layoffs very, very soon. So we're going to be hearing about that, or you guys should be hearing about that in the news very soon. And that is definitely happening. And so I just found that out about a half hour before the show. So that's another thing. Like, Sony's not going to take on more what I like to call corporate SAG. Right. And the corporate SAG is something that when about 3/4 through the ABK thing, I started looking at it and I said, you know what, this is not going to work out. At first I was rah about it. And then about halfway through to 3/4 through like the deliberations of getting this acquisition, I'm like, you know what? I don't think people realize what kind of overhead it costs to run a company like ABK. So what happens is you take them in and then you're like, yay, look at us. We're, our profits went up, 43% since the... That's not how it works, because all of a sudden you're taking in all the overhead with it. We talked about this last week. So same thing with a situation like this. I don't think Sony wants any more corporate SAG. What they could do is perhaps purchase some IP or something like that. Like if something were to go down and say, hey, listen, you guys are about halfway through production on this or 3/4 through production of this game, we'll happily invest and put more into it. And then what we could do from there is then have a partnership, like a partnership where we're not own, we do not own you. And Sony's been famous for doing that a lot when they do those third-party money-hatted deals. They do all these partnerships. I could see something like that. As for purchases, no. But the thing is that the problem, when you look at something like, for example, specifically Ninja Theory, that's going to be a huge issue because then they won't be able to stay afloat. And that is the bigger problem. So we will talk about that a little bit later because I got a lot to say about that. And we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, it's all kind of unravel. It's been really, really difficult. All four of us were at the big Los Angeles celebration for FanFest and Showcase, and everything was way, way up. And then it was just 2 days later, everything has come crashing down. I talked to somebody that said they were, really concerned about their own employment in the coming 2 weeks. And I was thinking, 2 weeks? I'm thinking that soon? I didn't say anything because this is a person's job. And it's really, really bad. What we're going to get into is there are more studios than you thought that are under fire right now as Xbox, trims the fat, which is a horrible way to look at it. I've seen some really, I've seen every gambit of people's.
Reset.
What's that?
Reset sounds. I think reset is the better term, right? Like this is her trying to reset and kind of focus the brand the way she feels it could be the most viable. Unfortunately, that comes with it. Like anytime some new CEO steps in, there's going to be some letting of jobs, and it sucks, right? Because these are people's lives who get impacted. But I think reset sounds better than trimming the fat.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
Well, and the two things aren't necessarily mutually exclusive either, because this reset could even be, let's get Xbox in a more open, viable place, be more financially healthy, and then spin them off as a subsidiary so that they start on the right foot. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily one or the other.
Okay.
You wouldn't obviously want to. You wouldn't want to
set them up to fail, roughly
push them out the door when they still have a lot of things to become solvent and in a better position and have that right step foot forward.
Gosh dang.
Well, it's like no.
The thing is, when it comes down to this, sorry, I was going to pick that up just for a second. Good, is that when you look at this situation, and you could say, okay, well, they're resetting or trimming the fat or whatever, right? The only thing that at the end of the day, us who are not directly involved in terms of actually like working there or like losing our jobs or anything like that, it just brings to light a couple of things that we all should sort of reflect upon. And it goes for every company, not just obviously Microsoft, is that this big conglomeration stuff and all this like purchasing all these people and turning them into one thing, never, you know what I mean? It doesn't really work out in the end for a lot of people. And so what happens is instead of celebrating this continuous buying frenzy for Twitter wars or whatever kind of crap people love to do. And it's just used for arguments and list wars and this and that and little graphics. Look what we have now. And it's like, you don't have anything. And then you know what ends up happening at the end? The studio shut down, thousands of people lose their jobs, and the customers themselves don't get the IP they were working on. And so you're like, okay, well, you know what? Is it really worth it in the end? Not really. Not really. And Microsoft proved that today. And they've proved it before, and they're going to prove it again in the future. Now, they're just one company. Many companies do this, right? They take these companies, as some people love to call them, corporate raiders, right? And that's a pretty fair term. You get corporate raiders. Buy this, buy that, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. And then all of a sudden, what ends up happening? Like, most of those people lose their jobs. They trim it up. The corporation continues to make billions. Other people suffer as a result, whether it's the consumers or whether it's the people that work there. And this is no different. This is no different. And Microsoft has done this time and time again over the decades since they've started. I'm old enough to be there when Microsoft started, unfortunately. I'm that old. But like, we've seen it time and time again with all these corporations. And that's why I keep telling everybody over and over, don't trust them, ever. Not a single one of them for any reason whatsoever. They're not in there for your best interest. They're there for their best interest. And the problem with that is that if you look at it that way and you treat yourself as a consumer that you're looking out for your own good, then you'll be better off and in a better place and even in a better headspace altogether when it comes to this kind of stuff. Because like today, we're going to lose games, man. And the thing is, as a customer, as a gaming customer, now you look at some of those studios, I'm reading the chat and some of them are like, yeah, a lot of them haven't done anything. Yeah, fair enough. Because you know what ends up happening? Bloated salaries, way too long development times, costing all this money. And then the games come out to almost no fanfare. That's not good either, right? Like when you look at South of Midnight, which I loved, by the way.
You did.
Super peeved about that situation. I loved South of Midnight. I bought it twice, ladies and gentlemen. Once on Xbox, once on the Switch too, because I loved the game. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I love the games that they did before. Compulsion did that other game, Contrast. You guys ever play Contrast? The one with the shadows.
I messed around with it. I played like the opening part.
Oh, dude, I got 1,000 out of 1,000 achievements on that game. I loved it. So
I want to say it off the back of what you said, Mag, which I'm glad you said that. I really am, because there's the quiet part that you don't want to say out loud. And it kind of comes down to, did I love the games at these possible studios that we're talking about? And I'll just kind of, for people who aren't here, I'll reset. We're talking about a possibility of Compulsion. We're talking about Ninja Theory, maybe. It's kind of up in the air. We'll talk about why. Maybe Rare, which hasn't been talked about yet. And then a strange one is Arkane Lyon, who's working on Marvel Blade. There's a ton to dig into there, but when we're talking about this, you're like, did I love Deathloop like everyone else did? No, I mean,
no,
I should have.
That much either.
Did I love South of Midnight the way other people did? I like South of Midnight, but I didn't love it to death. I can go back and say, did I love Hellblade 2? I'm like, yeah, it was pretty good, but when you said us, what does this mean for us as a consumer? Like, if you care about the brand and the platform, it sucks that this is happening, but in the end, will some of our favorite franchises get more funding, maybe some more support? It's really sucky to see, because Nate the Hate, a very trusted insider when it comes to Nintendo and some Xbox stuff, said that the layoffs are going to be an absolute bloodbath. And I wanted to ask all of you, when he says bloodbath, like, what are we talking? Like 1,000, 2,000 people across?
Oh God, no, way more than that, bro.
Or what are we looking at?
10K between Microsoft and their divisions, at least, is my fear.
You cut out for a sec. What did you say?
I was saying that the 10K is what I think between Microsoft and some of their subsidiaries.
Yeah, no, it's going to be more than that, JV. I see in the chat there. No, it's going to be tens of thousands. But now the thing is, I asked for clarification on that because I did speak to someone there. He says it's going to be a bloodbath, whatever. And that, when we were talking about that in March originally, but then he started telling me more as time went on. He's like, yeah, listen, there's going to be a whole lot of stuff going on there. But the thing is, for the clarification of that, he wasn't sure if that also meant companies that were planning on being spun out or buying their independence. So he wasn't 100% sure about that, because that could actually be a differentiator in terms of the numbers, right? Because if you look at like something like Ninja Theory and they say, okay, well, if they buy their independence, we actually didn't have to lay off that entire studio. So there are, you know what I mean? There are numbers that are going to sort of level out, but from the last I heard, tens of thousands.
Holly, what's your guesstimation from where you're sitting?
think Microsoft as a whole too, though, right? That's just not just Xbox. That's like
Okay.
Microsoft doing it within their org, which includes Xbox.
Right. Okay. There you go. That also helps. Yeah. Not helps. I mean, helps the.
I mean, yeah, it still sucks,
You know,
but yeah.
you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Context,
Holly.
yeah.
That's okay. I don't know if you know the stat, but in the last 2 years, 1/3 of the entire gaming industry has been laid off.
Really?
1/3.
That's crazy.
Yes.
That is a crazy
That was
number.
from the
I'm assuming you
GDC
mean the
survey.
Western world, or
So,
like the Western
in the United
developers?
States.
Oh, in the United States. Okay.
States.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
still,
That's not surprising.
and that really speaks to the health of, the gaming industry, at least in the United States. There's a few reasons for that. You could kind of go down the rabbit hole of why is this happening, right? We're in this unique era. It's not like um the Romeros were talking about in the 80s when there was a game crash, right? And they were saying that this one is way worse. Well, it's
They
different,
were?
right? Like yeah, they were talking about it, and they said that it was actually way worse then because stores were just refusing to accept product, right? Because it was all hardware and cartridges and stuff, right? And now it's different. Games are digital and people can buy them as they want and all that stuff. So it's not like a stop at the retailer, but the there's just a lot of things that are happening right now, right? Like old games, how many people are still playing old games? They don't die because technology has kind of kept everything afloat. Um, and one of the unique things in the gaming industry is a lot of people use contractors, right? They're not necessarily like in-house employees. So when they don't need the staffing anymore, they're not laying off anybody because it's a
Yep.
contract that it's gone, right? Like goodbye. But there's this problem and they're also contracting people that are in other parts of the world, right? So the US is losing a lot of those jobs because they're contracting to different parts of the world where it's financially way more viable. But then you also sort of have this push-pull on why we're seeing some games not being to the same standard, or there's just something missing, right? Sometimes, and it's because they don't necessarily have those long-standing relationships within the studio. They're all there, they're all working together. There's a piece contracted out here, there's a piece contracted out here, and it's probably fine if you're using it for like support assets or things that aren't core to the game, right? You're farming out a lot of like the support work, but
Mhm.
that's not always happening. And so like 343 had this issue, right, with a lot of contracting,
Yeah.
and there's other issues as well. But when you start to lose that balance, it becomes a huge problem. And I think that's when games start to suffer. So we're seeing a lot of that. And there's other stuff that's happening too, but um it's contracting is really popular because there's no unionizing in a contractor, right? There's no bad PR when contracts just disappear or they expire or you cancel them prematurely. And then there's no retirement plan, there's no employment costs, like all of that stuff goes away, right?
Yeah.
But in relation to what's happening here, I don't know. Those numbers, sure, that might be on point, but I don't know that in my gut, I don't know that we're gonna see other studio closures besides the 3 that we've seen, but it doesn't mean that there won't be a severe reduction in numbers many other places.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
The
my
contract.
gut feel.
Yeah, the contractor thing, like they pay the same amount. Like it's just as expensive for them to have the contractors on. But you're right; they can just say thank you for your service, and then they're meant to go and work the next place that they're supposed to be, and that's just part of the business. So yeah, people don't like get upset when a contractor set of employees, which we'll probably see in this layoffs thing. It'll probably this many people will leave the studio, and everyone will assume it's all Xbox or Microsoft employees. I know it's weird timing, but it's actually it's super important for Meg and I would love to show our appreciation for 4XP. Without them, they sponsor the show, they make it happen, and when we help sponsor them, we keep them employed. They're a small team, and I'm drinking their Ultra Nightmare right now, and they have a Father's Day thing going on. Just for a second here, Mag and I are going to tell you about 4XP, and I'm going to get into some of the questions because we have a ton to break down, but they have been an outstanding group. Holly and I have played games with them, and they're just awesome, and well, I mean, I love the drink. I love it. I have it all the time. Drinking Ultimate Nightmare. Mag, tell them what they can do for Father's Day, and we're going to get into some of the questions.
Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Before we get into starting any of this business, there's no cuts, there's no corners, there's no layoffs, okay? There's no studio closures going on at 4XP. You know why? Because these guys are rocking and rolling right now, and you can get right on that train as well, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you something. They're running a BOGO sale. You know what that means, ladies and gentlemen? Do you know what that means, Colteastwood? Don't worry. I'll tell you what it means. It means you buy one tub and you get a variety pack for free right now. You could do all of that, and you could check out, and you know what the funny thing is? The coupon is automatically applied. Now, the crazy thing is, he doesn't want us to announce it tonight. But tonight was a week ago. But we're going to announce it very soon, that they're going to talk about that they will be expanding out to the Amazon warehouse at some point, ladies and gentlemen. And that could mean Canada and Mexico at some point. So, you know, it's going to happen, folks. And I'm telling you right now, when it starts getting out there and it starts growing into a global brand, we're going to be right there. And never mind, they're going to be sponsoring. Listen, we're going to do UFC in my front yard. Never mind the White House. We're going to do it right there, sponsored by 4XP. We're going to have two dudes fighting right in my front yard. It's going to have millions of people watching all over the world. And you get to do that. You know why? Because 4XP is eventually going to be available in these other countries, folks, much to your happiness. And of course, on top of all that, your demand. But that's what I'm talking about. But Colteastwood, do you want to talk about Father's Day? Because Father's Day is coming out. Father's Day is happening in about a week from now. This is our time to shine, folks. Colt, tell them all about the Father's Day experience.
Well, I mean, I was going to tell about the father, but I have to disclose that the dudes fighting on the front lawn are going to be in a pool full of 4XP, like a Jello fight.
Obviously.
So, you know, we want all people to enjoy the wonders of violence and delicious drink. Now, we appreciate them so much. Thank you, guys. And you supporting them is really, it ties into this whole message we're going to be talking about supporting your favorite studios, buying all your games, and the growth of Xbox. Like, the gaming is so important. And it's the reason why, like, we get on the show and we're frustrated. We want to air our grievances. Like, we don't know the people. I don't know the people that work at these studios, but they're making games that we like, or they're about to make a game that we like, and we'll get it all into it. Kung Fu Hot Dog, thank you so much for the 25-pound super chat. Appreciate you. You've been awesome. He says, Colt, Magalicious, Gears E-Day's budget is bigger than the new Naughty Dog game. Yeah, he's right. There was the report of $400 million. We're going to get into that in just a moment. We're talking about the game budget. It's crazy. He says single player is around 14 hours with UE5, and if it weren't exclusive, it would have to break even. The Coalition says they're making it for the fans. He says not buying it. Well, I mean, I was doing the math with Dante in the party chat last night. I remember I said, how many do they have to sell? They'd have to sell like 6 million copies to break even. And so Gears E-Day will be available on Xbox and Game Pass and Steam and Epic Game Store or whatever. So, right, like, can it hit 6 million copies sold? Maybe. I don't know. I can tell you this. It's not going on PlayStation. They kind of put their foot down, at least not in the next year or two. I don't know. Mikey B, thank you so much for the 5. Appreciate you. Says Phil Spencer and his Power Your Dreams. Make whatever game you want. Take all the time you need. Failed these studios. This is still a business. My grievance with Xbox Studios, I've said it here, I've said it in party chats, is why does it take Xbox games so long to make, Dante? Why are we waiting seemingly forever for Xbox's games when Capcom's cranking like 4 bangers out a year, it seems like?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know, man. But I don't know if it's just Xbox, right? I mean, I feel like everybody's been adjusting to using like UE5, so everyone getting used to using a new engine. People who are using their own proprietary engines. Like, I mean, obviously we saw Halo like struggle with their kind of revamped version of Slipspace for quite some time to get Infinite where it should be. So that's another story. But then here we go. Like, Halo now has built this kind of remake of the of CE, and they're doing it in UE5. And I can't imagine like that. You know, they couldn't have started that like shortly after Infinite release, right? So they're getting that out within a decent amount of time. Of course, it's assets that they can understand they can rebuild, but at the same time, it's like, I think as more studios probably get a little bit more familiar with UE, and if they're going to continue to make this kind of like the default engine that everybody wants to use, maybe we will see some ramp up in terms of production time. But there's other studios too that we've seen who've also struggled with getting games out in less than 5 years. It used to be a thing where we saw sequels within 2 to 3, right? Now on average, you're waiting for 5 for the next big installment of a game franchise that you enjoy. So I don't think it's just something specific to Xbox. I think it just, considering what's happening, the spotlight is being put on them more, right? But other games we're seeing, other studios are kind of having the same issue in terms of production. So that right there, the time it takes to make the game, the cost it takes to make the game and then that is what's putting the industry in the worst possible place, in my opinion, right now. And this is just like a terrible cascade, because it's like Xbox basically did this arms race to try to get all these studios so they can have ammo. And then you get hit to a point where everything is extremely exorbitant for the price it costs to produce these games. And you didn't get a chance to actually use your arms race because you had to say everything's an Xbox, right? Everything's an Xbox. So you didn't have an opportunity to sit there and say, you would only see it here. You're never going to see it there. If you want to play these games, you got to come over here to get them. I don't know, man. It's just, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. So I'm hoping that's the main thing I think the industry as a whole needs to solve, is how do you get games out faster? The 5 to 8 year window just does not cut it at all. People imagine waiting for a sequel and then you die. Like your favorite game is coming out and you're like, oh, it'll be ready in the next 5 years, but I'm terminally ill, dog. I was hoping it would come out in the next 2 years. Like, it just takes way too long for games to get made. So it's an industry-wide problem that I think they need to fix. Capcom, their engine must be pretty. I mean, I think it's just seasoned, right?
Capcom doesn't have that problem though. Right. They crank out the games,
and we keep it pretty consistent within it. Where other studios are like, "Oh, what are you telling me to use? I got to build it in this. Okay, what features does it need to have? I need to monetize it like this." Capcom isn't really doing that much in that regard.
Yeah,
right?
But it's work culture too. Like,
it's the work culture and unions. That's the problem. When people are working 38 hours a week and getting paid $136,000 average US, by the way. So that's like $180,000 Canadian for these developers. It is costing way too much goddamn money to make these games, and it's taken way too long because they're not doing the crunch thing. Now, the thing is, I talked about the crunch thing before. Listen, every industry in the world does crunch. Everybody, when it comes down to the wire and getting things and meeting deadlines. Everybody. Why does everybody just cry for these guys? I don't understand it. Nobody cries for the mechanics, the chefs, the nurses, the doctors, you know what I mean? The surgeons,
the guy at Old Country Buffet.
Nobody. Yeah, the guy at the Country Buffet who's asking if you've tried the lasagna, it's his favorite. Like all these different people, they all do that. And then what's happening is the unions became a problem. That's why these companies don't want these unions in there. In the eastern countries, this doesn't happen because they just get the job done, and that's why they're cranking out games at 10 times the speed that's going on in the Western games. Because you got not Hellblade. What the hell is it called? Stellar Blade 2 is already on the horizon. It was my 2024 game of the year. Yep. They're ready to rock that right away. Why? And they're working with a studio that has 1/8 of the size of the studios that are working on these other games. And the games run and look fantastic. They're embarrassing the Western culture games right now.
Yeah,
and that's
the other
a fact.
side.
I'm sorry. It's a fact.
Yeah, the other side of the world is, they're killing it.
Right?
Mag. Yeah.
They're killing them.
And their devs are getting raises.
Wow.
They're getting these huge bonuses for getting their games out.
Yes, they do. They get those bonuses. So like Capcom does that. They do the exact same thing. They give everybody bonuses, whatever else. Now, the other thing we talked about last week, which we were talking about how some of the CEOs take these cuts in order to keep their studios running and whatever, and keep that's a very performative thing, because at the same time, like those CEOs, they also don't want the stock to go down. So when you start letting people go, this and then it looks like a little bit shaky, and investors get a little shaky, the stocks go down, which affects their portfolios because a lot of these CEOs get paid in stock, right? So they want to keep that up. So sometimes when they cut their salaries, it's actually to benefit them in the other end, which of course is their stock portfolio, which is where all their real money is hiding. Like Bobby Kotick and the rest of those scumbags, it's all the same thing. They have hundreds of millions of dollars tied up in those stocks. They don't want that to go down. So everything else that they do is basically just performative for their own benefit later on. So, but anyways, the point is, it's a culture thing too. Just like Holly was saying, Danta was saying, it's a culture problem and it's a union problem. And as a result of that, way too high salaries, way too long development time. And Sean Layton talked about this in 2019 before the pandemic even started, said that this is going to be an issue in the AAA gaming space. And he wasn't talking about working with engines. He wasn't talking about graphics. He was talking about labor costs. And he is 100% right 7 years later.
Today, I listened to Jason Schreier's video, Holly, about why do games take so long. And he has this calculation. He says napkin math, but it's pretty spot on. $15,000 per employee per month multiplied by how many years you think it's going to take to make a game. And he's like, if you have 200 people in your studio, I'll flub this math because he used a couple different examples, but if you have 200 people in your studio and you're going to take 4 or 5 years, you're like just under $400 million for your budget. He says, it's not like it's open world, or it's a linear shooter, or it's this, we're taking this crazy risk. It just comes, Jason Schreier says, just comes down to how many employees are sitting at that desk at their workstation month after month receiving a paycheck. What do you think about that, Holly?
But I mean, that number sounds a little high, though. I think the average game developer in a U.S. salary is somewhere close to around 10K. So
he said it's not their salary, it's their overhead, it's their billable rate.
Costs. You need insurance, you need all of that stuff too. It's
workstations,
not just
retirement.
how much you pay somebody. Yeah. Plus, like, there's tech industries tend to have a lot of the things I wish I had at my job but don't, which is like, communal spaces where you can go sit and, talk to your friends for a while and all that stuff, which is fantastic. And I love that for you. I wish I had it, right? But like, how much does that impact? But overall, like, the numbers make sense. And it's just really like, it kind of comes down to, yes, it is all of that overhead, but it's also who's setting the deadlines and how firm are you being about those deadlines? Who's setting the metrics that you need to meet? Who's setting, this team has to have this done by now because they need to get it over here and it needs to all jive and we need to work together, blah, 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 right? Because I have a target date of this and your budget will only extend so far. Otherwise, we're going to have problems, right? And is there actually a crackdown when those timelines aren't met, when those budgets are exceeded, et cetera, et cetera? Is there enough internal management? Every studio is different too, I'm sure, right? But those are sort of just the overall questions when you start to see any project go over. But when I have a project go over budget or over time, I've got a manager at my door saying,
yeah, exactly,
what's going on?
Yeah, they come in banging on, like, whoa. Like, even if I was off by like $100 and I was dealing with millions of dollars and I'm like, God, like, really? And they're like, well, I mean, it shows up as red. And I'm like, for God's sake, man. And like, they're busting my chops and busting your chops. Who's busting these guys' chops?
Yeah,
Holly, sound like a whole lot of anything.
Holly and I sort of work in a similar professional field. Do you guys use those project plan
mud wrestler
charts?
Too?
Yeah, she's a
like game.
I didn't know that, Holly. I thought it was just cold. Sorry.
You call them Gantt sheets, right? Yeah, you've got your project, all of your deliverables and milestones, like, and what happens.
Path. Yep.
Yeah, and critical path. This stuff doesn't seem to happen in the games industry. At least I don't see it, right? Where they look ahead and if they think you're not going to meet your milestone, your bosses will say everyone is on mandatory 1 hour or 2 hour overtime every day, or 3 hour overtime every week.
Because we got to make it up.
Because you got to make it up. And what happens is, like, Fable comes in, Playground comes in and goes, hey, Craig Duncan, we need another year, And so Microsoft just keep printing money and sending it their way. I want to get into Craig Duncan. There's a lot to cover. I'm going to run through some of these questions. You guys are amazing. Italia Gangsta, thanks for the 2. Says, you 4 are so gangster, you don't even know. We're trying to know. Mag knows,
we
but
know. We know.
Red Wolf Renegade, thanks for the 2. He says, I feel a 4-hour show coming on. I don't think so, but I appreciate you. Great content, man. You're amazing. I love your work. Wagerman, our good friend, thank you so much for the 10. I was talking to him early today. He says, hey guys, what a magical week last week. Great seeing you. Back to harsh reality of the games industry. Xbox Studios closing. Well, we'll see. He says, Craig Duncan out. It's just not just Xbox. Nod out of money. It's so frustrating. Yeah, I know, Wagerman. Ubisoft is in big trouble, and they're one of our favorite. Like, all of us love those developers. So yeah, we're looking into all of it. Alex Fowler, Alex, thank you for the Canadian $2.79. Says, Mag, you watching FIFA 26? Thoughts on the games? He's watching World Cup.
Fantastic. And I won $240 betting on Australia winning the other night. It's fantastic. I was very happy about all of that.
Did you still risk
$240. I put Australia to win. Turkey was favored. I won $240 on that bet. What's up?
Did you still risk it?
Aussie. What's that?
Did you still risk it that Australia got beat? That's all I care about.
Oh no, they didn't get beat. They won. They were big underdogs. Yeah, they beat Turkey. It was a big thing. Yeah, now of course I watch all the games. Yeah, see the chat gets it. Oi, oi, oi. There we go. We got the ruse in the house.
Anytime there's an Australian to bet on, you always bet on Australians, because if you see the amount of animals that want to kill you on a daily basis like they do, they know how to get around.
And risk it for the biscuits, one of them, Mag. He's one of those animals that wants to kill you. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's
for damn sure. He definitely wants to try. He can try all he likes. But anyways, there's two things you bet on in the world, folks. That's Australian in sports and Wesley Snipes. Always bet on black. Okay? If you know what I'm talking about, if you know, you know.
Dante, you were there.
Bets in the world.
All out 5 Australia. That would be
Shout
good.
out to Passenger 57, greatest movie ever made.
Can you imagine a mutated kangaroo?
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't even have to like really reinvent it. It would just be everything a little bit bigger. Dante, you were there. You saw Risk It in real life. He would just smash Mag into a little.
My condolences.
Yeah.
My condolences.
Cukes Max, thank you so much for the $50 super chat. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. He says, my take on the Xbox reset news. I said this in King's show as well. They are going to trim the fat with the layoffs and studio closures, sadly. Focus on core IPs that sell. I like that. Microsoft is going to subsidize Xbox just like Sony did with PlayStation back in 2016. Dante, I didn't look into this, but apparently Sony spun off PlayStation in 2016 and it's been all for the better. But I didn't, that totally went over my head if I ever.
I saw a tweet about it as well, but I didn't look into it because I didn't, to be quite honest, I don't care too much about the idea of spinning it off. Like if we get to that, we get to that, right? There's nothing that me diving into it's going to, impact how that goes down. If it doesn't go down, I'm more just concerned by like, hey, what studios are going to survive, right? And is the brand going to find a way to survive? And however that happens is where kind of like my focus is at. But yeah, I saw a couple people posting saying that like, Sony spun off PlayStation back in, I think it's 2016 or something like that. I just didn't actually do any research to confirm or I did not already with it.
Yeah, thank you. Shout out to 11.
Good for them, yeah, they're still thriving.
Shout out to 1,100 people watching live. Thank you so much. Hit the like button if you're enjoying the show. We're going to do our best to get you all of the news and conversation that's going on with everything. Thank you, everybody who sent in chats. We got Stitches with the ARS 100 says, F Arkane. I don't know why he's saying this. He said the writing was on the wall. Third-person cinematic adventure. They wanted to go artsy-fartsy, cel-shaded nonsense. He's talking about Marvel Blade, which is not really cel-shaded. It's more half-tone comic book style. But when you've got your other Marvel games that have this certain look, like your Wolverine, Venom stuff, the Spider-Man, and then you get Arkane's take on Marvel Blade, I don't know. Let's talk about Marvel Blade since he's bringing it up right now, because there were rumors when we were leaving the Xbox showcase that Arkane was going to completely cancel Marvel Blade. Holly, I know you were kind of looking into this. Do you have anything to like put cold water on this, or do you have a take on Marvel Blade and Arkane Lyon getting shut down as well?
Well, that would be devastating to me because Arkane is my favorite studio and I'm super biased. Like, out of everything, that one would cut me real deep. After the last time they cut Arkane, I was like, but Lyon has been the consistently more stable out of the two, right? And they've been working on Blade for a few years now, right? 2 or 3 years. Maybe a little bit more.
Since 2022-ish, I think. You guys can jump in if you remember.
Right.
It was at the Game Awards. You remember, Mag, what year that was?
Yeah, it was 3 years, I believe.
4.
Okay.
23? Well, anyway.
I got a much more dire thing, but I'll tell you in a minute.
They Jean-Luc Millet, who is their art director, or their creative art guy, he was posting when people started like, where's Blade? Because we all thought we were going to see Blade, right? everybody thought we were going to see Blade. Everybody's like, "Oh, Blade's dead. That's why we didn't see it." And all he did was say, "Let us cook," right? And that was kind of like, I don't know. I think most people are taking it somewhat justifiably so, that they're working on it. It's not dead. It's moving along. I think we are going to see it in the next, well, provided that they survive the quote unquote bloodbath. I think we are going to see it in the next 6 months or so. I think that it would be very wise for us to be able to see it, although apparently seeing a game doesn't mean that it's actually going to come to fruition after we saw Senua.
Perfect.
So
Senua. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, a second time. Yeah. But I don't know. I think they're probably going to be hit with layoffs, but I don't think they're going to be permanently shut down. They do make games that are a little more niche. I 100% agree and understand that, but I think they've probably sunk quite a bit into that Marvel IP, and I think that would probably be a difficult thing to walk away from. It is super unfortunate that the movie was essentially canceled. That was the tie-in, and now that that's gone, that leaves them a little bit on a floating island. But the art style is very much Arkane. I wouldn't have expected them to do a different art style. It's very in their likeness, and most of their games are, very well received and very well liked.
Yeah.
Minus one that we could think of. But
they didn't do Redfall. That was Arkane Austin. But they did.
Yeah, but I mean, they helped. It was just like some support, right? The two. Yeah. So anyway, I think they're cautiously all right, and I think the game is coming.
Meg, what do you know? You said you had something, or Dante, you got something?
Meg,
oh no, your question earlier for Sony, basically. So yeah, back in 2016, created a new business name, Sony Interactive. That joined forces with their business units for Sony Computer Entertainment. So that's how we got SIE, which gave them their kind of base within California, and then London were their major locations. So that's how that happened, kind of an extension, shall we say? Or, well, I mean, a lot of the headlines still read off as a version of a spinoff. So, and they've done pretty well, right? So it's possible.
Okay. Mag, you said you had something on Marvel?
Yeah.
What do you got? What do you
got?
While they choked to death?
While you choked to death. So 9 days ago, when we were in LA, actually on the Saturday night, and we just have finished that lovely dinner at the Mexican place, by the way. And I was back in the room, and I got a message from one of my Microsoft guys, and he said, Blade is dead and not undead like, of course he has to be such a smart ass. He goes, Blade is dead, not undead like a vampire, but just dead. He goes, but then again, I told you the gameplay was slow and brutal, and it was pulled from the showcase because it didn't look good. And now he played an actual, like he actually played a build of the game, and he said it was terrible. Which I found surprising because I'm like, I thought it'd be awesome. Anyways, he updated it today and sent this. Of course, also I got a big email from someone who asked me to read this out. But he said, Blade gameplay was slow and janky. It's dead.
Damn.
And that's what he said to me.
Really?
So he hasn't been wrong yet. So, and then of course I got a very, very long email, which he wants me to read later because he says that people deserve to know what's going on. However, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, either way, I didn't want to be so down on it, but I'm just saying that's what he's been telling me. So I kind of hinted at it not hinted. I kind of like touched on it in one of my videos today, talking about Blade, and said that was one that was not showing well, did not do well, and it was pulled from the showcase. I saw some in the chat actually. Unfortunately, it wasn't pulled from the showcase because there wasn't enough room. They pulled it from the showcase because they were unhappy with the way it looked. So and then, like I said, I know somebody played a full build of the game, and he said it was not good. And
I don't know if any of that's true. Like when Matt Booty says, "Oh, we had too many things to show, so we're moving stuff forward." I'm like, I don't know. You can't trash talk your own stuff. But
no, obviously not. Remember we talked about the Harrison Ford thing? Says even if you make a bad movie, you got to promote it.
Yeah, I mean the kid glove thing just drives me crazy. If I guess if Matt Booty straight up said, we had a trailer ready for Marvel Blade. It didn't quite look the way we weren't happy the way it looked. So we're going to wait until, early next year to show it. Everyone be like, oh my gosh, the game's a mess. Well, the rumors fly either way. Oh gosh. Okay, Cukesmucks, thank you so much.
I'm not saying it's happening 100%, but I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
that's what he's telling me, and that's from inside. So I mean, I don't work inside. That's
I don't either.
But, hey.
Yeah, and sometimes I wait to see if I hear stuff. Yeah, and I wait to see if I hear stuff from, like, I talk to people who talk to insiders, so it's like fourth person information. So it's only as good as whatever. That's why I always say, like, we're hearing, or it's possibility, or rumors, or this, and just take it as you will. Like, we can only do so much because I'm not down there hiding behind a dumpster, and Mag isn't either, right? So Cukesmax, we appreciate you so much for the 20. He says, so they can bring all their IPs back to Xbox, such as Call of Duty, Fallout, etc., would not have been held accountable due to the FCC ruling, since there'll be their own company then, and make them exclusive again. That's if the spinoff works the way they want. It is interesting that Satya Nadella said that they monetize Xbox gets monetized more on YouTube than they do in their own studios, and that really comes down to other content creators and other people are making all this money off of the Xbox games by streaming them and making videos about them and reviewing them and stuff. Because Satya said there's like a 3% kickback on Xbox's profits, and then you look at these YouTubers who are collectively making more money than Xbox is, then you could see why Satya be pissed off. So we'll get it on in a moment. Green Pulse Wire, thank you so much for the 10, says Xbox is going through a run-of-the-mill corpo restructuring after getting new leadership to find savings. A spinoff of their size also doesn't make sense. The integrations with Microsoft proper are too deep. I mean, there are integrations, Dante, but like you were talking about how Daddy Warbucks, Microsoft has been able to back them up during their falters. What do you think he means here when Green Pulse Wire says the integrations with Microsoft are too deep?
Well, everything that you do with your Xbox account leads to an account connected to your Microsoft account for the most part, right? So like all your credit card information for the most part, that's stored within their servers. Like everything that they're doing that's touching cloud saves and stuff, I'm pretty for sure that's on their servers within Azure or something to that effect. So yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, like what happens in a spinoff, right? Are you paying for that? Is Xbox paying for that for Microsoft now? Like, for the way we do cloud saves and some of the things that we kind of take for granted that Xbox does well. Yeah, I think, I don't know. Like, if you asked me this a week ago, I would say, yeah, there's no chance they spit it off. But now I'm just kind of like, okay, are they trying to do a divorce from gaming? But it just seems really counterintuitive for everything that you've kind of done with even the showcase. Like, why have a showcase this year if ultimately that's the route you want to go, right? What do you like, just basically let the brand kind of slowly fade itself out, or appoint Asha, let her see what she can do with it, and then spin it off. But why spend money on, you're supposedly having 6 more showcases? Is that what they said? 6 or 7 more, right? So it just seems really weird to kind of have this presence, and then the quote unquote, here's to the next 25 years, and ultimately you're going to kind of divorce yourself, or like I say, put them in and kind of let them kind of fend for themselves to a degree where Big Daddy is not backing it up. I think they want to see that thing turn a profit. And it's kind of like, if you appointed Asha to go ahead and do that, you got to give her an opportunity to make it happen, and then you make a decision on if you're going to spin it off or not. But right now, it just seems weird. The timing doesn't make sense.
I mean, would they still keep Asha Sharma as head of CEO of Xbox if they were allowed to have their independence, Holly? Like, she just came in.
Yeah, I mean, I just see it so unlikely that it's happening. And as far as the Windows integration too, like they're on the Microsoft campus, right? Would they have to rent the space? Would they have to move off campus and rebuild like that room that has 0 sound in it? I forgot what it's called, but it was a really cool room. And then like all their hardware testing labs, like everything that they have that's integrated in the campus alone, right? And then they use, I mean, it's Windows in the hardware, right? In the background. Yeah. And so then they're buying all of that, there's just a lot. There's a lot that comes with that, right? And then if you do spin off like that, I don't like, I don't know the path forward to actually setting up the proper leadership roles, right? Um, Seems like, I guess, Asha would move over with them like that.
Wouldn't they just spin them off and have them a subsidiary of Microsoft? And SEI, Sony Interactive Entertainment, still is under the Sony stock. Like, they still belong to
Right.
them. So maybe they can.
Yeah.
You're still there. You're still part of us. I don't know how that works.
It must be an interesting restructuring where they want to, I guess, because it's on their balance sheet, right? So they're just trying to find, if they're going to do it, it seems like to me that they're trying to find a way to make it where if Xbox doesn't kind of turn themselves around where they're becoming more profitable. Hold on, my cat's bugging out a little bit. That it doesn't impact their balance sheet as much, so that way that their shareholders can bitch and moan for, excuse my French.
Pets are allowed on the show, by the way, Dante. So they're allowed. Yeah.
Thank you.
They've also had this back and forth, right? For like the past 3 or 4 years where Satya has really inserted himself into the business because he's like, oh, we need to do better, right? And here's your new goals. And then he's, like, it seems like somebody came in and told him, like, this isn't really going to work for gaming in particular. It works everywhere else, but this is a unique industry. And so, like, they've had that dynamic of the back and forth, and maybe he's just kind of to the point where he's like, okay, fine, we're putting you over here. You're going to be on this. You go figure it. Like, we'll get you set up, and then best of luck. Like, come back to us if you really need something. I don't know.
You make it sound like when you tell your kid, go ahead and run away, pack up some Oreos, see how long you make it. Glizzner, thank you so much for the 2. Profits over people, credo of every corporation, unfortunately, true. Grandpa Barbecue's Game Cat, thank you for the 5. I'm wondering if Xbox should just downgrade Helix to be slightly more powerful than the Series X to reduce cost and purchase price. This goes along with Matt, thank you so much for the 2, says, is Project Helix still going to come out? Yes. And there is really no reduction of Helix at this point. The Magnus chip, which I said last week and in my last video, Magnus chip is built. It's super powerful GPU, CPU combo. The only variable is, do you want to put less RAM in it and less storage to save money and make it more affordable? But we've got another plan for consoles going forward we'll talk about in just a moment. Lou Bega, thank you so much for the $2 super. Lou Bega, it makes me think of the song that I hate. What is it? What's that song?
Mambo number 5.
Well, Mambo number 5. Yeah, I remember in my youthful years, I never listened to the song all the way through. He says, it's why Matthew Ball said no comment when he was asked why was Ninja Theory's Senua not exclusive. And he said, no comment. Mag, this is a great one for you to field. I feel like Matthew Ball wouldn't give us the answer, so you're going to give us the answer tonight. They asked him point blank, why is Senua on PlayStation if you said our single-player games are going to go forward and be exclusive on the console? Well, in his own words.
Well, none of that made sense anyway. None of that business plan made any sense. The only game that they had showed a bunch of single-player games, and the only one they kept exclusive were Clockwork Revolution and Gears. And Gears technically is a service game. So, like, by that definition, you'd be like, well, it is a live service game, so how come that's exclusive but the other ones are not? But I have answers for all of that later on. In the very long and telling email that I received. So that's a whole separate thing. But either way, as it stands, doesn't make much sense. Now, the thing is, why we would say no comment? Because they probably already knew that was on the chopping block, and it doesn't look like, Ninja Theory is going to have to sell at this point if anybody buys them in the next 30 days. Otherwise, they are closed officially because they can't afford to buy themselves out.
They're closing down. As of the latest news.
No, I know that, but I'm saying like they have 30 days. Though,
as of how late?
Oh, that was before the show started.
Some of the reports that I saw were opening it up for negotiation, which was also looking at spinning off these studios.
They tried. They couldn't afford the buyout.
Yeah.
So that they had their only choice now is they have 30 days to sell or they're being shut down permanently.
Okay.
Yeah, Gears is absolutely a service game. It's a multiplayer game, America's team forever. And if you're referring to the Dallas Cowboys, they are a terrible football team. The Buffalo Bills all the way. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't know. We're looking at, according to the reports, Compulsion Games, Ninja Theory, and then they're throwing in Arkane Lyon. which is crazy because we just talked about how Marvel Blade is probably in the works. I don't know if they're, I don't know what they're supposed to do. Like, hey, we have funding for the next year to finish the game, so we're going to finish it out. And then after that, I don't know what happens to the studio. But if someone asked me, what are the chances that Compulsion and Ninja Theory are going to get purchased by someone? And I said, not very high. I mean, just me personally, I think Compulsion Games and Ninja Theory they just don't seem like they would be, like people would be jumping to buy them in the current economy where it's difficult to keep studios as they are. I don't know how saleable those studios are. I'll get to that in a moment. Yodana Kizada, thank you so much for the 2. Yeah?
Yeah, I say hardly any studio at this point right now.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's hard for anyone to sit there and say, let me go out and purchase X. It's just the market itself is basically in a position of trying to like sustain itself, or it's weird to say sustain itself for a market that basically is making billions of dollars annually, but the cost of running this market is basically showing us that it's just not an area where, like, Xbox did the last large big expenditure was what we saw with ABK and Bethesda, and I don't think we're going to see something like that happen for years to come until we start figuring a way to kind of curtail some prices.
And I don't know how the business works, but Xbox has paid for the employees of Arkane Lyon to work on Marvel Blade. They're basically in the last quarter of that development. If they were like a 4 or 5 year development cycle, they have like 1 more year and a half until the game comes out. Maybe that's my best guesstimate. So they're planning on making their money back when that game launches. So it's not like you can say, hey, anybody want to buy Arkane Lyon? They're about to launch a game in the next 18 months or next 12 months, and you can make money off that. I think that publishing belongs to Xbox.
Marvel. They
Say it again?
Marvel crazy licensing. The licensing fees that they've paid Marvel, that you can't just be like, hey, buy this, unless it's like it's close enough to ship. We're going to get what we want from it, right? You guys are going to finish it. You're contractually obligated. You'll finish it. And we've already come out of our cost of what we paid Marvel, and then after that, we will let you basically be for the open market, so that way you have an opportunity to not shut down. If it's working that way, that makes sense. But I mean, again, it's all comes back to how do we recoup what we've put out, and upfront costs are quite a bit when you're licensing from like IPs like Marvel and DC.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know how that works, but I was not in the thought process, Holly, that Ninja Theory was like really going to be done for. I didn't hear about that 30 days thing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about the 30 days thing, but the reports I saw today I don't know about the 30-day thing, but the reports I saw today said that Double Fine and Compulsion were negotiating to try to figure a way out on their own to buy themselves out or get, some sort of funding for that. And that Ninja Theory was confirmed to be closing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Which could make sense considering like their in-house mocap stuff. Because if you let them go,
it's all paid by Microsoft.
Right. You've paid for that, right? You want to be able to use that technology that they've curated. So if you let them go for someone else,
theirs.
Yeah. So I picture them saying, no, we're gonna keep that. We've invested in that. And we would rather, unfortunately, let you close down as opposed to have someone else buy you and then,
you mean
take that stuff
Xbox
with you.
would keep the Cambridge mocap studio for themselves?
Or the technology, right? The technology that they've used to develop that mocap, right? They've invested probably millions for that, right? And so if you let them go, like in order for them to go somewhere else and be viable, you have to take with you some of the assets that make you a good studio, right? And that mocap is one of their good selling points. So if Xbox like, well, we're not going to let you take that with you, right? We want to keep that. So what's your choice? Your choice is to shut them down versus sell them where they're not. No one's going to want to buy them without that stuff, right? And they're not going to be able to develop that from scratch.
They're in a tough spot because that's what they've primarily been doing, right? For the last 10, 12 years, whatever it is, right? And it's just super unfortunate with Ninja Theory because I feel like Hellblade, like they are the masters of the auditory visual experience with Hellblade. It is an amazing experience as far as that goes. But the games weren't received as widely, it seems, as you would think. There was just something that People weren't as mass attracted to as many of the other games, and they've done 3 now in a row of a game that had a smaller audience, and it seems like they kind of got, I don't want to say pigeonholed, but you know,
Are you talking
they've
about
really defined that this
Bleeding
is what they've
Edge and
done,
Hellblade 1 and 2?
and
Yeah.
like they didn't, you know, it would have been nice to see them be able to do something else in between to broaden their horizon and maybe, you know, have some more, like if they had done that, maybe they would have more marketability, you know, kind of overall in the grand scheme of where they're currently at now.
Yeah.
They should have just made Heavenly Sword 2 and called it a day.
I know.
Do they have the rights to it?
Or another Odyssey game. Yeah. Yeah.
Do they have the rights to Heavenly Sword to be able to do it?
I don't know. I don't care who has the rights to it. Just make it.
But Meg, what about Senua? Like that game's like next year. It's already planned for platforms. So how are they going to shutter Ninja Theory in 30 days and then work on the game for the next 12 months or whatever?
Well, they wouldn't at that point. Maybe the trailer at the showcase was just an advertisement for someone to buy it and say, "Hey guys, look at this awesome game. You want it? Anybody want it? Any takers?" And then we'll see who scoops it up. Because if they got it made and they're shuttering it down, you know, they're shuttering it down, then that's all there is to it. They can't afford the buyout, and that's that. So that being the case, and like, well, it is what it's going to be. So then the bigger problem is like, when you think about it, I know it sounds kind of ludicrous to say, well, it sounds like an advertisement to just sell it to somebody else. But the thing is, at the end of the day, when you look at that, you're like, well, why the hell did they show it 7 days ago, 8 days ago, if they knew they were shutting it down? Right? So, like, that doesn't make much sense either. So, like, was this all performative bullcrap that they showed us on Sunday?
It was one of the only new games they showed.
What's that? I was so excited for that game. And I'm like, I want to play that. But
it was one of the only...
It also goes back to your point about Matt Booty saying that there wasn't room in the showcase to show Blade. Well,
for like 60 seconds.
I mean, seconds. Why would you show Senua if you know that it's going to be closed? If
it's lunacy to believe anything that they're. Thank you, Satanist.
Right.
It's lunacy to believe anything that they're saying at this point. But like I said, I'll tell you some stuff later. But like, yeah, it's just a whole situation. It's just like why would you even show that? And then all of a sudden, 8 days later, cancel it, or not cancel it? Excuse me, shutter the studio if they didn't know. You know, at that point, I think they're just advertising it to sell. It's like, you know, showing a little ankle on the street corner.
This week, right? You couldn't have
made that decision. They didn't make it yesterday.
Saying like, hey,
they've been looking at the numbers for a while,
right? You've been looking exactly. So
it means it was all performative.
Made no sense to have them in the case
to make people go like this. And make people go like this and all whatever.
Sorry, Dante.
That's basically what it is.
Yeah, I didn't hear.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out, brother.
Oh no, I that to me is the part that I feel like I understand the business aspect of this, but the part that feels so shady about it is like, yes, you literally put them in your showcase, and you could not have made this decision just this week.
Exactly.
This is something you must have known for weeks, if not months, right?
Yes.
So you had time to basically not have that game shown in the showcase. Like we don't know what the next Compulsion game was. We had no knowledge. If Compulsion's on the block, okay, that makes sense. That's why I didn't see anything about what the next Compulsion game is going to be. We didn't see anything about Blade, and if Arkane Lyon's on the block, okay, great. You didn't show me anything for Blade. So if you come out and say they're shuttled too, I get it. That's why I didn't see anything from them. But you showed me. Hold on, let me finish what I gotta say and you get in. You showed me Senua, and you made it seem like this was the surprise thing I was not expecting to see, only for you to turn around 8 days later and be like, yeah, you guys, you're like, that's the one that you said, or at least that we're seeing in the news articles that are saying is shutting down, where the other ones are basically making their negotiation, right? So it's like that. I don't understand that, right? Like, how, if you're shutting them down, pull it from your showcase.
Should have pulled that and put Blade instead if you think Blade is still coming out.
Like,
not.
Make me understand that. Make me get that reason that you understood. And that to me is the part that seems really, really shady. So that's the one I've been kind of stewing for a while. Cause I'm kind of like, what else are you basically not telling us that you've kind of hyped this up to make it cool, but they're really not cool. So
Xbox's inability to launch a Marvel game needs to be studied. They didn't even buy into the Spider-Man pitch that was given to them and
can you imagine that
2010s, and then they can't even launch a Marvel Blade game.
Nah, we don't need that. Like,
I don't know if Marvel Blade
decision.
I don't know if Blade is going to be canceled. I don't really know. Like I don't know. I don't know if this report is just kind of missing some information. I can't imagine Arkane Lyon going away. I think they sold a decent amount of Deathloop, which probably didn't cost them, $500 million to make. So I'm going to sit and I'll drop my jaw if they get rid of Arkane Lyon, but I would assume they are going to finish that game. I really hope I'm correct on that. Let me grab some more. Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous.
Where did we hear about Arkane Lyon? Because I mean, at least I haven't at least seen them popping up. So where did
it got piggybacked onto Insider Gaming's report? I don't know if it was on the Verge report, but I actually don't have the. Let me read this from Sandy Peterson. Great name, by the way. Wieners on the Beach by Sandy Peterson. The head of Blizzard. There's your joke that my dad would have told long ago. Anyway, he said, we don't need to save Blizzard. We don't need to save Microsoft or id or Ensemble or Atari. We don't need to save any company. If they die, they die. They will be replaced by new, likely superior game companies. Gaming continues, close quote. That's Sandy Peterson's take on the gaming. And here's a person who's heading Blizzard who they just do great things all the time, I guess, right? But I mean, he's not wrong. Gaming will continue. The cream will rise to the top, but holy crap. It sucks for all these studios trying to make it through.
Room for us to talk about potential mismanagement, though, right? Because it does suck that these are people's lives are going to impact it. I mean, people move to a location to go to do a certain type of job, especially for like game development. So now if your studio gets shuttered, you got to uproot your life to go try to do something else or find another company that may not be in the same city or state, right? So I wish to me the human aspect of it, I get the overall business point of view, but the human aspect of it is like, man, this is a toll on a lot of people. So I don't know. Holly, you were going to say something in terms of a point to what I was talking about, like why put Senua's in their showcase. And what are you thinking why they would still put that in there knowing that they're going to shutter the studio? What am I potentially not considering?
My point was going to be that, I'm sure these decisions are very top level, very closed door. And you're not going to go down to your team that's making the trailer and putting the trailer packet together and tell them, hold off, don't put that in there. We're going to be closing that studio in a couple days. Like, I don't think that you could take the risk of the leak of that. And I just think that is the only plausible explanation that I have for why you wouldn't pull it, is because you're not going to let that slip out before your big showcase.
But could you not say hey, we're going to hold off on that. We'll probably see about putting them in next year's if the game wasn't going to be ready till next year. And you're not telling no one that. You say
how do you do that when their trailer looked great and it was all? How do you tell them that? I mean, I'm sure corporations do it all the time.
I'm sure they were excited to have a big surprise in there. And it was the only surprise, really, right?
Shady. Yeah, this seems really shady. I just think that one kind of hurts. That one kind of feels like, whoa. You guys literally you gave us this, and then over here you're like, oh, if you guys only know. It's like I've been seeing something right now, and I knew it was going to happen, which is people are saying, okay, so what we've been seeing for the last few weeks or since she stepped in is basically the PR blitz of building good faith before the bloodbath. And it's starting to kind of seem like that just a little bit, right? And I get it, right? Like you want to give her the best possible chance, and she has a lot of tough decisions that she has to make. And I can even understand that part of this is a reset, right? That hers basically saying, I need to find a way to right this ship and get the company focused and slim down. And we got too much overhead. I completely understand that, but it does kind of seem a little bit where we kind of benefited from the showcase. We benefited from getting, consoles, and then there's studios where people are going to be losing their jobs. So it's kind of that aspect I can't separate myself from. I feel kind of like, oh man,
it's also the timing.
It was going to happen either way.
It is, man.
That's the thing. It was going to happen either way, whether you did the marketing blitz at the beginning or not. This was coming because there had to be, there's the human aspect and there's the business aspect of all of this, right? And
Yeah.
unfortunately, humans run businesses. So like, there's a lot of emotional connection, but there's also a lot of error, right? And greediness and all the other things, right? That come with just the seven deadly sins and all that stuff, right? But like
What's in
at
the
the end of the
box?
day, this was gonna happen exactly. An Xbox. So it's gonna happen either way. So they were building as much goodwill as they could. She was setting up, she was getting the right people in place. And like she said, now the reset happens and it's gonna be tough. And you just hope at the end of the 100 days, everything goes better from there. Right?
But-
I mean,
Yeah. But Mag,
that's
why?
the plan.
Why days after? Why 1 week after their big
That's the
showcase?
problem.
Why?
That's the
How
thing,
have you
because
done
like
it?
you did it so close that it comes across as just like you did it way too close to that showcase. We're like, hi everybody, check this out. You're fired. It's
I
like,
just
you know what I mean? It's like-
unpacked, Mag.
Yeah, it's like you just unpacked and like already like it seems like they could have taken a little time before they did this. However, Holly's right. It's not like they didn't know this was happening. It was going to happen no matter what, and that's all there is to it. But at the same time, it's there is some disingenuity here where like I said, you show a trailer for something that you knew you were canning. Like that seems insane to me. Blade being pulled out. Well, we know. Well, now it's not 100% confirmed. They haven't come out and said it, but that's what I'm hearing. That it's dead. It's dead and not coming out. So it wasn't doing well. It wasn't showing well or whatever. Now the thing is, when you try to think about that, they showed this Senua game and it looked great, and they still canned that. Yeah. And from every person I've heard who's played the game, the Blade game behind the scenes, have played the alpha and played a build of the game, all said it sucked. Why would that come out, but Senua gets put on the chopping block? Think about that just logically for half a second. You know what I mean? So it doesn't make any sense at all.
There is a part of me that believes that those reports about Blade are correct. I'm trying to kind of deny it right now, but
it doesn't. No,
saying that, like, how could you?
You never know.
How could you push Blade forward and then we already covered it, like, and then leave Senua in there when you knew what was going on? Let me go to the next one.
Senua, the gameplay, and it looked great.
Yeah, and
I'm like, look at that. I'm like, look at that. I'm so excited. Remember we talked to the dude, and the dude is like, yeah, the people heard the feedback or whatever, and we decided to make like an action game that was not
good.
Direct. It was like a spin-off or not directly involved and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, that's awesome. And I was so excited. And honest to God, that was like from the Xbox showcase, that was my most anticipated game out of, I mean, besides Gears, obviously, but Gears, we knew that was coming. Of something that was a complete surprise to me, that was it. I was like, yay, let's go. I'm all for that. And that was my highlight of the show. And I'm just like, oh, okay, I guess it's not coming. But anyways, it is what it is. I do see some of the stuff that going on in the chat too, and not in the chat, and even just on social media saying, oh, well, they're doing layoffs because of COVID. How long are we going to use this excuse for?
No,
it's been
I'm
6
not allowing
years.
that here. Nope.
No,
it's not because
it's
of
been
COVID.
6 years and a failed generation. And this is not coming from the Mag's mouth. I know Never Be whatever the F your name is in the chat, call Meg's a pony. Why? Because I'm saying facts. Listen, your knight in shining armor said it with her own mouth. Okay? The bald guy, not this bald guy, the other bald guy who runs Microsoft said it with his own mouth. Vindicated. You can call me a pony all you want, but your heroes are saying it themselves. This is a failed generation. It has got nothing to do with COVID anymore. They said it themselves.
Not.
So stop blaming me. Stop blaming me, the Mag. Go talk to them. But a lot of people went awfully quiet over the last couple of days because then they're like, oh, crap, they're saying it, not just like Mag or Reforge or whatever or this or that or whoever. Then when they're actual bosses, when they're heroes, they got posters on the wall, when they start saying it and they're like, oh, then the reality kicks in.
Yeah,
stop blaming COVID.
Sorry, go ahead, Ollie.
No, I just saying, maybe
spam the ponies in the chat. Sorry.
Maybe they meant because they hired too much during COVID.
And now they're I mean,
but like 5 years later, though, they're still skimming these people, right?
Like you said, like a third of a lot of people within the industry. Like, so I would imagine a lot of those people from the build up around COVID probably got laid off within the years after that when we saw a few bloodbaths, right? So hopefully at that point in time, we would have stabilized.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. The multiple layoffs that are happening during those years. It's now 2026 going into halfway through it, getting to 2027. It's because they did not do well this generation, and it came from their mouths. Go read the reports. Listen to what Asha Sharma said. Go listen to what Satya Nadella said. You know what I mean? It's like you got to stop, guys. Just face the reality and just say it's fine. Listen, they're not going anywhere. Xbox is going to continue. They're going to have banger games. They're going to have the service. Everything that you saw at the showcase, assuming it comes out, is that you will be getting a day one in Game Pass, like advertised, like advertised, right?
Italian gangster goes, chat, leave Meg alone and go after Colt. Laugh out loud. Yeah, absolutely. Go after me.
Oh my god. But you know what I mean? Like it's like
Red Wolf says,
Xbox ain't going anywhere.
Bloodbath.
But
yeah,
it's going to be a different.
Two Truth also said they laid off tens of thousands after the COVID stuff settled. So yeah. I mean, I kind of see both sides. So they did ramp up, but gaming was. I won't dwell on it. Gaming was really on the up and up, and then COVID made it like, oh, we're all home. Let's game like crazy.
Let's game.
It was a beautiful thing for gaming health while the rest of the world was in turmoil. We got Yodana Kizada, another handsome individual. Says we have over 1,200 in the chat. Not everything's rainbows, but thanks for your support. Thank you, Yodani, for the $2 super chat, for being an amazing mod and a great friend. And Excursion says, with a 5, thank you so much. He goes, a couple weeks ago, you guys asked if I should buy the Xbox ROG Ally, and you said I should, and you were not wrong. Thank you. We love ours. Holly has one. I have one. Dante, have you picked up one yet?
Holly's getting me one.
Holly, she did. She told me she's going to write a check, but don't cash it yet.
Dang it.
P-Lump, thanks for the 2 who we got to hang out with at LA. He's awesome. He says, I will be drinking my 4XP on my show with you guys. We gave him a shaker, and he got 2 of every flavor. I'm drinking Ultra right now. It's powering me through. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much, P-Lump. Lou Vega, thanks for another 2. Says, Tom's right. The exclusive plan's not crystal clear. Tom Henderson of Insider Gaming said that Xbox's business plan with the resets not crystal clear. I kind of kicked against that.
I agree a little bit. A little bit.
Their exclusive plan is kind of wishy-washy as per usual, but I think it'll kind of even out. But I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. She wants to cut down things that aren't making money and start playing to their strengths. I mean, I don't think that's really difficult to see, but she hasn't even really implemented all this horrible or massive game-changing things yet. So we'll get into that as well. You, Johnny, thanks for 10 channel memberships. Mr. Evil, thanks for the 5. Says, can confirm 4XP is great. Also, I hope whatever happens, these devs get back on their feet. And may Xbox get back to form. Scary time ahead with a sad face. Appreciate you, bro. Leighton 101101, thank you for the Canadian $2.79. He said, Obsidian should have 10 out of 10 games, not 4 mid-games. Well, Leighton, this is like, I wish we had Fonz here tonight. We had such a great conversation. What's that? Sean Layton. We had Fonz from Fonz Gaming in our chat last night, and Dante and I and him and Riskit, some other people, Hargeet was there. We were talking about how everyone's like, everything's millennial slop, AI slop, DEI slop. And they were like, everything's mid. And I came to this realization I talked about a lot, that anything under an 88 is absolute mid trash. And Obsidian's Outer Worlds and Avowed and Grounded are, low to mid 80s. And we got Leighton here saying those are mid games. It's like, tell me you just started gaming without telling me you just started gaming, bro. But those games are awesome. They're really awesome. Bro. And if they're not for you, I mean, I guess you could say they're mid. But yeah, and Megan, I would tell you 100 times, those games need to be the best they can possibly be.
Well, it's not even just that. Like, they can rate well or whatever else. Is that they need to connect with the audience. That's what that's what it boils down to, and that's what hasn't been happening. So it is what it is.
Like Outer Worlds 2 is awesome, but it just didn't fly off the page when people saw it, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, put that in my veins now." And you need that if you're spending a lot of. I always attribute games to me as a humble content creator. I try and make my video the best it can be. I'm hoping that it explodes off the YouTube channel and everybody wants to watch it, and then YouTube will give me a rating. It's kind of like a Metacritic. It's in the reverse direction though. A 1 out of 10 is it's doing amazing. Everybody's jumping on the video. A 10 out of 10 means nobody wanted to watch it. And so when I see that rating, it's like a small idea of what it's like. When you put out your game, you want people to jump on it like crazy. Everyone's talking about it. Game Seeker, thanks to the Canadian 5, says, will Xbox partner with the McDonald's to add more value to Game Pass perks? Go. Game Seeker, go get a Big Mac, a large fry, and one of their delicious Cokes, the regular Coke, and get larded up, bro. You'll love it. Cody Bishop, thanks for the 2, says $1 trillion Microsoft looking for pennies in the couch. And he's got like kind of a
Damn.
I don't know. Damn. Dante, you got thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I do have a thought on something. I do have a thought on something because I'm seeing something in terms of a narrative. And I get it. Some people are going to say that like, hey, like for some of these studios that are supposedly going to be either shut down or given the opportunity to spin themselves off, like they were in bad positions when Xbox acquired them. So it's like if anything, Microsoft bought them a few more years and whatnot. But I would counter to sit there and say it's not a good look for you to be a company that then acquires these studios, that you acquired them because you believe they were talented, right? Not just because we want to have you under our umbrella, but we believe you're talented. So if you did so and you didn't properly nurture them, it's weird for if you got 4 or 5 of these studios that you acquired that were kind of on life support, and then you turn around years later and then you shutter them, right? That means you couldn't turn around 2 or 3 of them to get to a good place of profitability. Like that to me is the worst look, because at least 2 to 3 of those should have been like, okay, we took this with the Microsoft backing and we got you guys to a better place. So it's like that is the thing that is really going to really kind of sting from this, because you did not sit there and take these talented studios and then help them kind of get themselves to the next level to make them more profitable or whatever metric you're looking at. And we also have to kind of we have to ask ourselves to talk about the elephant in the room to a degree.
What is it?
Are some of these studios potentially impacted because of the fact of day and date and Game Pass? And as much as I love Game Pass, we have to ask that question, right? If these are somehow tied into any of their metrics about sales or however they're gauging it, did day and date impact some of these studios because of the fact that they were just going to be in Game Pass, and the way the Game Pass is consumed, a lot of people can get into a game, play a couple hours on it, get sidetracked, and get back into a no-life game, right? And maybe never go back and finish a particular game. It's way too much choice. Where sometimes when you pay your hard-earned money, like when I pay $70 for a game, I'm gonna play that game because I want to like for the you know what I'm saying? For the most part, I'm gonna get my money's worth, as opposed to I can try it. It's always gonna be in Game Pass, and then I can get back to it later. I'll get back to it, and maybe I get back to it a year or 2 down the line and finish it, or maybe I just never finish it. But it's not necessarily a bad game. When I pay for it, it's rare that a game's just sitting there looking at me that I spent $70 for.
You're right.
That's the thing. Well, just look at the achievements. Look at the percentage of achievements. Right? Look at that. Like you see, like what people are actually engaging in, like on Game Pass, they're not engaging. Sorry, another fact for our friends, some of our friends there who got timed out by me for constantly trolling.
Hey,
but anyways,
finally, Mag is using his powers for good.
No, I did it once. That's the first time in 3 years, because I'm like, dude, I'm sorry if the facts are offensive. But anyways, either way, the thing is, if you go look at the achievement percentages of a lot of the games that came out on Game Pass, they're pathetically low. And when you get guys who go on, not guys, when you get gamers who are not even getting to level 2 of a game, and it shows up as a rare achievement a year after the game launches on the service, you're absolutely right. People are not engaging long enough. They're fiddling around, they move to something else. They fiddle around, they move to something else, and they're not completing it and not engaging in those games. But however, there is a value to it, an inherent value, that if I have to pay $101 for a game, you bet your ass that first of all, I'm going to make an informed decision as to what game I'm going to purchase. But the other thing is I'm going to give it all that time, and I'll get that 1,000 achievement points, or I'll get that platinum trophy wherever I'm buying it, and I'll go for it, because I'm like, listen, man, I paid that money. I want to experience everything that the game has to offer. I like to go after challenges. I'm enjoying that. I'm doing that with 007 right now. I'm almost done. You know what I mean? And so like things like that. So like, and I'll do the same with the Lego Batman. I put the time in. But like, yeah, there is a Game Pass effect, so to speak, where there's not engagement, and lack of engagement also causes a problem, because then it doesn't also guarantee people re-upping their memberships every single month, because they're not going back and dipping into those games, which they were hoping Call of Duty was going to be that game. But turns out it wasn't. Not for Game Pass anyway. And so that was a bit of an issue too, because they were looking at that going, oh, Call of Duty, people will just keep subbing month after month after month after month. And then they found out that it wasn't the case. People were just taking advantage of the situation, and it didn't work out. Hence why there's going to be some issues with, those studios, with some of the studios anyway,
Well,
that are working on the Call of Duty games.
There are 35 million subscribers on Game Pass, to our best of our knowledge. And then there are, let's say, 40 million Xbox Series consoles out there. You can bet that probably 20 million of those are on Game Pass on console. And so when you put out a game, no game is going to sell 20 million unless you're like the big juggernaut game, right? When you look at everything besides Call of Duty, right, from Xbox. And I always talk about last year they had all these games that no one played. Like, sorry, I apologize. Some people are going to say, don't say no one, but in relative, it seems like hardly anyone played them. When you talk about Ninja Gaiden 4, Tony Hawk 3 and 4 Remaster, Gears Reloaded. Last year was Outer Worlds 2, Avowed. Last year, Doom Dark Ages didn't do very well. And when Mag talks about how the completion rate is low because of Game Pass, it's also low because those games just weren't compelling enough for people to play them front and back, and just really interact with them. I didn't even play Ninja Gaiden, Gears Reloaded, or Tony Hawk. And I didn't play Keeper. I didn't even play Kiln. It's because those games did not demand what little of game time I have to play games. And if you put out an absolute banger of a game, people will show up. And Forza Horizon 6 is one of them. They sold like crazy. Game Pass people ate it up, and it still sold really well. The achievements are there's a really good achievement rate on it because it's a hot game. My issue with Xbox is they didn't have exclusives when they had no game. I'm sorry. They had exclusives before they had games. They finally, in 2024, 2025, they had this avalanche of games. They weren't quite up to snuff, even though they rated really well. And then they started putting them on PlayStation. So that frustrates me.
You know what's funny about the Forza thing? When I get achievements on Forza Horizon 6, the funny thing is that I actually am not unlocking rare achievements at all, which shows me over and over, I'm like, wow, people are actually playing this game and they're completing, they're getting achievements. And so every time one pops, I'm kind of sad because I kind of like to hear the little sound, right? And I'm just like, oh, I just got a regular pop. That sucks. But then it just opens your eyes. You're just absolutely right that a game that's actually connecting with the actual audience is that you're like, wow, people are actually playing this game. And so, and there's no rare achievements there, but all those other games. And isn't it funny that when you go back and you look at what Asha Sharma said, and she named the specific games that did not meet financial expectations, all of those games are the ones with all the rare achievements. Every single one of them. And I said, listen, man, you don't even have to be an analyst to figure it out. I said, I've been saying this for like 2 years, 3 years. And I said, just turn on your Xbox and go to the achievements and see the percentages. You can see it right there. You don't have to be, Christopher Dring or anybody else who has to dive in and pull the community apart. Just turn on your Xbox and look for yourself. And it's funny that she said every single game she listed that did not meet financial expectations are the ones with the lowest achievements. However, you get a game that sells incredibly well and does well, like Forza Horizon 6, people are engaging like mad. And like I said, I have yet to pop a rare achievement in that game. That's how popular it is. And there you go. So it all boils down to connecting with those people.
Yeah.
Doesn't it make it seem a little harder though to determine what's going to be the hit? Sure, we can kind of rely on Forza, and then PlayStation can probably rely on God of War, but Sorrels didn't do what they wanted for it, and then the game that House Marquee did before that didn't do the numbers that they wanted for it, right? And I bet you they probably would have thought that those games would have probably did at least a few million copies and whatnot, but they didn't.
Sure, yeah.
So it's harder. I think it's getting and then you have a game Arc Raiders comes out of nowhere and basically kind of blows people out of the water. Right?
No one expected it, and all of a sudden it caught on.
It's kind of harder to kind of determine what games these days are going to be a hit. And I'm a little bit worried about their strategy of just saying to refocus, because it seems like to me they're trying to refocus on sure bets, right? But it's okay, if the industry is getting to a point where only these large AAA IPs are going to be the sure things that people are putting their money into, then you're really it's a sad industry where you're not leaving room for the other games to potentially thrive, right? The other smaller, maybe AA experiences or indie experiences to have an opportunity to thrive. They're just going to basically get demolished on the wayside because you're just going to focus on just whatever you consider the sure bet, right? And I don't know, to me, that's a sad part of the industry if we're getting to that point where we're only looking for sure bets, and games like, you know, South of Midnight and stuff kind of go by the wayside because you're afraid to take a chance on them. But it's like part of that is part of that problem is also us as gamers, because a lot of us spend our times in these like no life games, right? Like a free to play game or
service games.
Basically play, like service game that we play majority of the time out of the year. Like my brother plays primarily Halo throughout the year and Gears. Those are his main two staples, right? He hardly ever plays anything else. Yeah, even now, like those are his main two games that he plays throughout the year. Like I know people who only do COD throughout the year, right? Or NBA 2K. So like it seems like we're not like we are as the consumer are getting kind of babied into this idea of just like, oh yeah, I just mainly play this, and all these other great games that come out aren't even going to get a shot or a chance because you can't bring yourself to dedicate time for this one thing that you've been playing for 5 years, right? Or 10 years for some of us, right? So
I want to ask Holly this. Holly, can you remember the question you want to ask while you answer this first one? I can't do that, but hopefully you can. Are you ready? You've been around gaming. You've been getting around gaming forever, and there are more games being built than ever before. So the competition for your time is ridiculous. So the small games can be made, but the popular ones are rise to the top. Is that like, are really the smaller games going to go away? Or are we just, there are just so many great games being pushed in front of us that some of the stuff just gets missed?
I think it's kind of the opposite. I think we're seeing a wonderful revolution of indie games and AA games and these smaller games. And they come out quickly, right? They're much more attractive. And then, you know, we went through this period of like calling them friend slop games, right? But they're fun. If you have played Peak with any of your friends, or crap, what's the other one? They're so Lethal Company. They are so much fun. You just need friends, and the graphics aren't great. There's probably some decent audio because it's got prox chat or whatever, right? And they're just fun. They cost $8, $10, and you have hours of fun with your friends. But then there's also these other experiences that are $20, $30, and that's like, those are actually my favorite. I love AAA games, but they're so expensive, they're so big half the time, and they're really hit and miss. And they tend to suffer from all of the external pressures from the anti-woke or the woke mob, whichever side you choose to have on that day. There's all this extra scrutiny. Then there's all of the extra Digital Foundry reviews, or this person's review or that person's review. There's all of this stuff that comes with them. And it feels like, I mean, I can't imagine working on a game like that and having the pressure that just comes from the enormity of what you're doing, right?
And the budget. Yeah.
There are so many good games that surpass what the AA or the AAAs are doing just in the value I feel from them. Like my favorite game last year was The Midnight Walk, and I guarantee you only like 2% of the chat have ever played it, you know? It is a beautiful, lovely game, and it's only because it was on PlayStation and PC. So don't get mad. And you should get it. If you absolutely get the chance, you should get it. And honestly, it's sort of a shame too, because I feel like there are a lot of really, really, really good games, and they sit in the PC world and they never make it to console.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's another portion.
I think that's my fear, is that I think PC allows for that. And it seems like, and I could be wrong, but it seems like Asha and Co are signaling the opposite for console, where they want to focus more on what they perceive as sure bets compared to
big thing
games that, you know what I'm saying, like that.
Well,
and it's like, that sucks, right? Because you're right. Like in PC, there's all these cool games that we can try that can be really, really fun, that Xbox
and millions of people are playing them too.
Yeah.
You know, there are games on PC where millions of people are touching them, and console players never get that experience, right? But also the problem is that, you know, you're saying you want to bet on a sure bet. Well, nobody knew Arc Raiders was actually for real going to be a sure bet. I played the alpha test in May last year, and I went, oh, this is special. But you wouldn't know that unless you'd played the alpha, right?
Yeah.
And so and people thought, "Oh, that looks kinda cool," but, like, the point is that you don't really know Expedition 33, everybody thought it looked kinda cool, and then it took over the world, right?
Yeah.
So, you don't really know
Or
what that
Arc.
sure bet is, so you have
Exactly.
to have a comment like, you can't just cut everything that's not AAA and barrel down on the same IPs over and over again. You have to have a broad swath of games. You
Just
have to
imagine
have
we
ones
didn't get
that interest
grounded,
people more
Dante.
like me.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like Grounded was one that I was like, that looks cool. And then some people were probably like, who like that looks whatever. Why are they making that? And then when you actually play it,
Right.
you're like, wait a second, this is actually pretty fun, right? And it
Really
became
good.
something that I spent like hundreds of hours in. I know
Yeah.
you spent more than that, probably 2 or 3 times what I did with your kids. So
Yeah, like 400. Paul, you remember what the other comment you were going to make is? It was a while ago. It's like 10 minutes ago.
Oh,
Oh,
you know,
look, a
we were
squirrel.
talking about you guys are talking about the worrisome factor of like games being played through Game Pass and if they're taking money away and all that stuff. And like, hey, that's a whole philosophical argument, but frankly, like I always think about it like I don't actually care because I'm a consumer. At the end of
Okay.
the day, I'm a consumer and you're a consumer and you put your $23 a month into Game Pass, right? And I love that those games are there and I get in them when I can. I have Game Pass. I paid up through like the end of 28, but I also buy some of those. Like I bought Doom the Dark Ages because obviously I like Doom, right?
And
And
he's
then
sexy.
I bought yes, Doomslayer is a Giga Chad. But I also, I buy Call of Duty because I play a ton of Call of Duty every year and I just want to own it, right? But I still have Game Pass. And there's other games like that too. The Obsidian games, I really love them. I will buy Clockwork. That's just my personal choice. But until the company comes out and says this is not financially viable, then, my mindset is what's best for my wallet, right? Like
Yep.
they need to worry about their wallet and I need to worry about mine. So I appreciate that they're there and I love that they're there and I will hop in and play them. But I also respect the fact that some of these games do need a little extra support sometimes
Yeah.
along the way. And I purchase them because I know I am going to want to own them for the long haul.
Somebody was
It's
telling
exact
me,
same.
Dante, like we were talking to Fonz last night, and he said that these devs get some sort of bonus based on engagement within Game Pass. So if is a certain amount of people are playing the game or a certain amount of time they spend, that Xbox will give them a kickback. I don't know if that's true. Is that a real thing?
No, I think that's what we were pondering, right? Because the one thing that I said was that if it's built within their contract, like how many units sold for bonuses, right? Well, if you're putting it day one in Game Pass, then there has to be some other way to basically determine someone's bonus structure. So the only thing that made sense was engagement, right? Like how many people are actually engaging with the game and playing it a significant amount of time versus I got in, I played for an hour or so, and then I got sidetracked and didn't return to the game, right? So if you're paying, whatever particular developer that's in-house and you're not putting it in there and the game is basically day and date within Game Pass, okay, maybe Starfield does well because everyone initially is going to try that thing out once it hits Game Pass, right? But maybe other games and stuff like, I'll like some people may jump into South of Midnight. All right, test it out. Maybe I'll come back to it, but I have no incentive to definitively go play it and finish it unless it just really, really grasps me from the get-go. So I kind of feel like, like it had to be some other type of metric that they're looking at, and the only thing that really made sense to me was engagement. And I think, and Fonz agreed. He's like, it has to be something like engagement of time spent playing the game that kind of determines if this is adding value and why this studio is doing better for the games that they're making for us compared to like, you made your release, but maybe people spent on average 3 hours playing your game, right? Where the next guy is spending 25 to 30 hours on Starfield at least. So
I think they would.
I have nothing to confirm this, but
Right.
it's the only thing that would kind of make sense to just kind of, because you can't just cut people out and just sit there and say, well, good luck since we're not making your game available for sale only, and you're going to be based upon how many units you sell. Like, you got to do it some other way.
And I know they can look at Game Pass subscription growth, and then when a game goes in there, they can see it jump up, and they're like, did it jump up because of this game, or was it because of Starfield, or was it that? Like, that small little indie game that everyone's talking about, like what made the subscriber growth jump up a little bit? Mag, do you have an idea of how they would incentivize their developers for having a hot game in Game Pass that no one buys?
Well, because we did talk about, we did talk about that before. We talked about how there was an issue with a lot of these, like Bethesda and ABK specifically, did not want to be part of the subscription model because their bonuses were based on sales of games before that, and they weren't sure how that was going to be rectified. And as far as I know, that has not been rectified up to this point properly. Now, did we ever stop to think for 1 second that maybe the reason why all this crap is happening right now is because of Game Pass? As lovely as it is and everything else, it's obviously not working. Like, is anybody anybody actually want to just admit it? Like, I mean, for Christ's sake, guys, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's great for us as a consumer, right? I love Game Pass
as a consumer, but
yes, but
you're not going to get much future with if it keeps going down that road. So, like, what are we talking about here? Like, I feel like I'm in bizarro world, man.
I think Xbox needs to be transparent to a degree. Like at this point, right? You need to come out and kind of rip the band-aid off and say, like, hey, while we understand the value of Game Pass, it is impacting like our first party to a degree, right? Like if you're paying other third-party developers to put their games into Game Pass, they're getting their money. So like that's good. That's giving them exposure. But your in-house folks, if they're getting shut down because they're not moving enough units, but their games are going into the subscription service that will stay there for the most part indefinitely, right? Most third parties, your game is in there for a certain amount of time, right? There's a contractor agreement, maybe, I don't know what it is called. What would you think on average? A year, maybe 9 months, something like that, right? But then you get a thing that eventually says eventually leaving Game Pass, right? First party, generally, that thing's always going to be there. Yep. So yes, I like if they come out and tell us that like, hey, Game Pass is in a sense, if we had to make a decision as consumers where for these studios to survive and do better, we got rid of day and date or even Game Pass, I personally am like okay with that. I'd rather have a healthy marketplace for a healthy company with studios underneath your belt than the fact that I got Game Pass, but I don't have enough good games from the studios that I like to play because you killed them all.
Right. Now, the thing is, you brought up like the other studios, like let's say third-party developers or studios or whatever, they put the games in Game Pass. Now, you weigh that out against like the budget of a first-party game, like let's say Gears of War, E-Day, or Call of Duty, or Fable, or whatever. They're not paying those studios $300 million, $200 million to put the games in Game Pass. That's where the problem lies. It's not like getting, let's say, Expedition 33, which they obviously gave them significantly less. They might have given them $1 million. They might have given them $5 million to put that game. Who knows? Or maybe $10 million. It could be significantly cheaper than having a Gears of War game that costs hundreds of millions of dollars to put in there and then has to be sustained inside that subscription service. It doesn't work that way. And so when you got like Fable, Gears, Call of Duty, Forza, which cost upwards of hundreds of millions of dollars and putting them in that service, that's where the problem lies. Not the third-party deals they make with Ubisoft and this and that. So that's the issue. The thing is, and that's where the problem is. And they're literally telling you to your face. And it's fine that you love it. Listen, I'm not saying that I don't love Game Pass. I'm not saying, I see some people in the chat and say, like, listen, I don't love it. Love it all you want. I utilize it myself. I'm holding on. I have 3 months.
Super cheap.
I have 3 months of Ultimate. I'm holding on to it to the fall, right? Okay, you know, I do that thing. So like from September to like December, I'll be covered. I got that 3 month little thing just waiting there. But that's fine. But I'm not saying there's anything wrong. But I'm saying from a business point of view, they're literally telling you to your face it didn't work. And people are not buying the games on top of it. They're not buying the games.
If they didn't want Game Pass, or they were thinking about just totally tanking the whole thing, they literally doubled down during the showcase and put the play it day one with Game Pass giant splash screen, not just
and they got some big gets, Holly, for Game Pass as well.
Yeah,
they certainly did at the showcase. That is perplexing to me.
Away. I think
no one's saying
it's not perplexing. They're making $1 billion profit off of Game Pass. They're just upset they're not making even more money because I think Game Pass
are not where they wanted it to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Their subscriptions are 55% lower than their projections. So that's pretty brutal.
They probably would. They'd be in a much better spot, right? If their projections and forecasts of where they thought Game Pass would grow, they would probably we would not be hearing some of these studio closures if they were at upwards of 75 million to 100 million subscribers in that particular service.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say.
Million, which is why it's not getting them the the profit margin that they care enough about for them, but they don't want to shuttle it because that's probably like their main continuous revenue stream right now. But day and date, I think maybe has to be looked at. Like,
I disagree.
That's
I don't think they should pull. I don't think they should pull first party games. I think they should look at spending more money on getting games that everyone wants to play in Game Pass day and date. So if you're looking at like something like a big game like Final Fantasy VII Revelation, like what is it going to take to get that day and date on Game Pass? Yeah, everyone can buy it on PlayStation or PC or Xbox or whatever. Like they can buy it however they want, but we're on Game Pass. I've said it. It was something new I started saying, that the reason why Game Pass is into that 50 or 100 million subscribers is because it doesn't have all the games that you have to play. You get, if you got, the Expedition 33 was in there, but if you get in something like James Bond and all these brand new games day and date, the Capcom games, like, maybe that's too expensive, but that's what they need, and I don't think they're going to do it. Ultra Dark Slayer, thank you for the 5, says, hey, Colt Mag, it was good to see you at Summer Games Fest. Can't wait to see you both again. Hopefully we get to go to these shows again. Hopefully everything comes back. King Fan Man, my good friend, thank you for the 2. Says Arkane was one of my favorite studios, with a little tear emoji. Go check out the King Fan Man on YouTube. He does Bethesda, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, which is all Bethesda. Really great, and he's really got a great insight when it comes to everything that they're working on. Check him out. He's an amazing channel. Kerry Taylor, thanks for the $2 for Canadian. He goes, Blade looks fine, just needs to lose the sneaks. We don't know what Blade looks like. We have 2 concept art pictures. I don't even think they're screenshots. We don't know what it looks like. Danny Passion, thank you so much for the 10. Mag, not all devs live in LA. Most studios aren't paying those LA level salaries. He didn't say that. The real average for game devs starts way below $100K a year.
I'm glad you brought that up, Danny Passion. It is untrue. The average salary has been reviewed and revised as of June 9th, 2026. It currently sits at $105,321 US dollars. So it has gone down significantly from the 136 over the last year, over the last 12 months, but it is still well over 100,000. That does not include benefits. That does not include, health benefits and time off, vacation, or anything like that. Those are not included in that. So it's a base salary of 321, excuse me.
And
so it has gone down. It has certainly gone down.
Yeah, that's a wide variety between people in Seattle, in Los Angeles, or San Francisco.
Sure.
Jason Schreier,
but that's an average across the entire country.
Yeah, he's like 15,000 overhead, like a billable rate for one developer. If you average everybody in the studio, because you have senior people, the mid-level people, and then you have the people doing some of the smaller stuff. If you average it out, let's say you have 200 employees. He's saying if you divide them evenly, it comes out to be a billable rate at $15,000 per employee. Charge per month for however months that game is supposed to be built, and that number is like, he says, just napkin math, but it's kind of a solid look into why it's so expensive. He says in the Western Hemisphere, it's crazy, and Xbox, they have studios outside of that. Anyway, Donnie, thank you for the 5. This is the quietest room in the world. That blue number, you mean Crap Gamer's YouTube channel. Hey, his channel's awesome. Go check him out. Go subscribe to Crap Gamer if you want to check out all the latest gaming news. And he's a good dude. He's funny. FarQ, thank you for the 1 channel membership you sent out to Ben Angelo. Thank you. I'm just catching up on everything. Lou Bega, thank you for another 2. Says, calling it Gears multiplayer horde comes to PlayStation. No, it won't. It won't. 78 Incorporated, thank you for the 10. I feel like we live in a time where games have to bring in 1 billion big faces, or we're just closing you down. Frustrating to see the direction the industry has turned. Corporal greed. He says he's sick of it. Like if a game costs $400 million, like we were talking about Gears E-Day, it has to sell 5.7 million units to break even. So it's just, they're just spending so much money and games take too long. Danny Passion, thanks for the 5. These studios had one job, make a great game, but they didn't. Colt, you missed my super, I think, but I did get it. Thank you. We're just catching up. FarQ says, I had the 4XP white gummy today. So good, because it tastes like a gummy bear, but it doesn't, but it does, but it doesn't. And I gave FarQ a shaker. I don't have the shaker in here, with 2 of each flavor. Also to BT Maverick, P-Lump, and somebody else. I don't remember. Mag, who was the other person we gave it to while we were in Los Angeles?
I remember P-Lump. I remember giving it to P.
Yeah,
We were
yeah.
giving it to P-Lump, and then you handed out a few as well. Yeah.
Yeah. They're awesome. Those guys are great. And Bishop Cruz, thank you for the 10. Thank you guys so much for your support. We appreciate you. Thank you. How many people have we got here? We got just over 1,000. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Let me do some business here. I've got That Blue Number, who has a channel under That Blue Number on YouTube, and she's cranking up content right now as we speak. She's working on a video while we're doing the show. But check her out. She does really great retrospectives and talks about games that are coming up. And she's like getting amped up for her channel, so you got to check it out. You got Dante, who hangs out with us all the time. He's on the Infinite podcast. He's everywhere. He's hanging out with me. We're playing Gears 4 right now. We almost played the entire campaign on a Sunday afternoon, and then we got derailed because I had to have dinner, and he was eating DoorDash while we were taking down a Brumac. He's like, it was so fun. We're gonna finish that, right? Yeah.
Take down a Brumac before bed. Yeah.
And then wait, where we at? And then down here, we got the Mag Show, whose channel is blowing up, over 4,000 subscribers. He's covering on-the-minute news as it breaks about the industry changes, about games that are coming out. Please go sub to them and go follow them on Twitter. I got to put That Blue Number in the description as well. I think my mod will get you a link to her channel immediately, but they're amazing. And big applause for them for being here and putting up with a crazy show. All right, we got Bishop Cruz, thank you for the 10, says, this will be happening across the industry. Games cannot take 5 to 7 years to make if they aren't guaranteed hits. A normal failure can be dealt with, not one that takes most of a decade to come out. Holy crap, so true. Grandpa Barbecue's Game Cat, thanks for the... I want to get to... Everyone wants to know what Mag's email, so I'm going to get a couple of these questions, and then we're going to get to Mag's email because I'm very curious. I know nothing about this. He says, "Is it true Amazon are buying Xbox?" I doubt it.
No.
Top Gamer Pro, thank you
one's
so
buying
much.
anybody.
I wrote to you in the chat. Yeah. He says, what I really thought was funny is my son said today, I checked out my dad's YouTube channel and it was mid. That's so hilarious, Top Gamer, because I'll tell my kids, I'll go, "Hey son, did you watch my video today?" And he goes, "No." And he's sitting there watching the stream. No, it's like, great. I'm like, "You watch my video, we might be able to afford Taco Bell tonight." And then he's like, "All right, fine." We'll click it in the background. What's that?
Dad. Get good, Dad.
Mm-hmm.
Step your game up, pops.
And I'll walk up to my kids and they're watching these streamers like Sinjin Drowning and all these other people. And I'm like, what are they doing? They're walking around at Kohl's. How many people are watching live? 500,000 or whatever it is. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? So anyway, Danny Passion, thanks for the vibe. Says, "Cole, I'll push back. Obsidian should be competing with Baldur's Gate and Pillars of Eternity. The Elder Scrolls like that was avowed was going to be, yeah, they should. Yeah, I want Obsidian to go to the next level. Absolutely. What's that?
I'm with that.
Yeah,
I agree. I'm with that. That was my hope for Obsidian as well. And I've loved all the games that they've released underneath Xbox, but I want them to be competing with Larian.
Yeah. I love Avowed, but if it was a little more scary and mature, probably had the best combat I've played in so long. Like all the ingredients were there. The Liz, thank you so much for the 5. Thoughts? Drop day and date, reduce tiers to $10 on Game Pass. Make base ultimate at $15 and get rid of the online, which I think they will. 20% off of purchases, all games and DLCs for the base, 30% for ultimate. I think you can get 10 to 20% off right now, but I don't love the drop day and date because that's what they made the service for. I would not even touch Game Pass, Holly, if it didn't have their first party stuff and they weren't grabbing like brand new day and date stuff. I don't think I would even touch it. Would you?
But let me
It
ask
would
you a
have
quick
to be
question.
super
Go ahead,
cheap.
Colin. My
It
bad.
would have to be
Go ahead.
super cheap. They couldn't keep it at 23 and not have. If anything, if they just do another tier, I guess. Gosh, I'm so tired of like the tier revamps all the time. But if you'd have to have one with day and date, I think they've committed to that for so long that you have to have one at a premier price for all of those games, provided that they can provide the content, whether it's first or third party money hatting, like you're talking about. But anything else where they're not there for 6 months, a year, whatever it is, you got to drop the price.
Yeah, he says like $10. I wouldn't touch it for $10 for.
I probably wouldn't. The only reason I do it is if you still had to pay for online, right?
True. Dante,
let me ask you, Colt.
Yeah.
So, are you concerned with the fact that they took COD out of it, and what Bethesda said in terms of not wanting, Bethesda not wanting to be in it for day and date, right? So that tells me something. And Mag, you're saying that you didn't hear that they've reworked that contract to a degree, right? They haven't fixed that since they still put it in there and
as
said,
far
hey,
as I know,
we're
yes,
not going to take it out of day and date, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and unless if it means the health of your first party to not do day and date, would you make that trade-off?
Well, Colt and I have
a
gentleman's bet right now about Elder Scrolls
Yeah.
6. I said Elder Scrolls 6 is absolutely not going day one in Game Pass.
Yeah.
Oh, you bet that with Colt?
Yes. I'm saying it's not.
Yeah, I think
and he's saying it is.
it'll...
I'm saying it's not. So we did a virtual handshake, and it's not going to be exclusive.
What was the one I lost during
that was Fable.
Showcase.
The Fable one.
Fable being delayed. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Fable being delayed. Yeah.
And I'm never
okay.
wrong.
You're all for one. I'm one for all. It's okay. We'll see. We might have to have a rubber. If you're right on this one, which you're not, we would have to have a rubber match.
What you think that you've heard that Elder Scrolls doesn't want to launch into Game Pass?
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know.
Bethesda
I think that
Bethesda has never been happy with Game Pass from day one.
I think the days of listening to what Bethesda
vocal
wants are going to be long over. Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe that too. You never know.
Reminder, Bethesda was in financial trouble when they were purchased too.
That is also true.
So
Meg and I had our complaints about some of Pete Hines' comments. Yeah. The Deceiver goes, Cole, if Mag's right, ban him. Absolutely.
That'll make a few people happy. I'd tell you that.
Let me get two more, Mag. You better warm up that email because people are chomping.
It's already right here in front of my face.
Let's see. We got Steady Steve-O. Thank you for being a channel member for 79 months and a good friend. We haven't talked in a long time. That's your fault because you just sent me a party invite.
Hey, Steve Bob.
Steve Bob. He goes, snake oil argument, Mag. If a game wasn't played as much in Game Pass, then it wouldn't have sold many units on its own either. Hi, guys. Go Xbox. Does he have a point, Mag?
Well, sort of, but not really, because they're not selling anyway. They're not selling or being played on. They're not being engaged on Game Pass enough, and they're not being bought.
I'm going to side with Mag on this one. I'm going to side with Mag.
And Call of Duty, 86% of it is sold on PlayStation. It's like not even Steam is carrying that one. Like even this, Steam is well, as far as we last heard anyway, Steam was selling more copies of Forza 6 than it was on Xbox. So it's like, well, that was carrying that one, but PlayStation carries COD. And I'm like, well, the other ones are not being engaged enough or purchased. So there is a disconnect.
Too much to choose from. If you're a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, you do have too much to choose from. It does reduce your ability to stay on one game. Not your ability, but people are more apt to, let me dip out,
and
go check out
around.
Yeah, you get
Fable. Yeah, you can keep bouncing around. Like, all right, because that game will always be there, right? And when you know it will always be there, it doesn't give you incentive to be like, I'm going to go focus and play this game, right? When you pay your money for it, that kind of centers you a little bit to be like, yo, why did I just spend $80 for something that I've only played, once when I first got it and it's been sitting there for 3 months? Like, what I'm saying? At least me personally, I would question that and be like, no, I spent $80. I'm going to play this thing, right?
I think that's
I'm gonna get my money's worth before I realize if I don't like it. So,
yeah. Malarzi, one more. Malarzi 17, thank you for the 5, says if they decide to get rid of day one Xbox games on Game Pass, I'll need a 50% discount for those to stay in Ultimate. Great stream, y'all. Yeah, I mean, you mean like if you're a Game Pass subscriber, you get to buy the game for 50% off? Can you imagine that? Usher's like, we're taking all the games off Game Pass, but since you're a Game Pass subscriber, you get to buy Gears E-Day for $50 or $40 or whatever it'd be, with tax, whatever. Crazy. One more. Grandpa Barbecue's Game Cat wants to know with an Australia $2. Blue, what are your thoughts on God of War Le Fay?
I played God of War 2018 earlier this year on my channel if you want to watch it. And that was the first time I played God of War. God of War is a good game. I don't love it. It's not my favorite. I enjoyed it though, and I can see why people love it very much. So for me, it's a little difficult because I don't really have a deep tie to God of War. It's okay. LaFay, I don't get the cube. I'm sure it has a good presence in the story, and I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. I love the actress that plays her. But it's probably not a day one for me.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
It might be for me. Mag, are you ready with this email? Set the stage. Tell us what this is about, who this is coming from, his name, and everything else. Go for it.
I'll give his address as well, of course, and his phone number. Okay, so I got this email, and I've been getting news since last week when I was in LA, which is funny because he actually saw you and I there, and he
I didn't see him.
He was there. He was at the no, he saw you. He was at the mixer, and he thought you. He said he thought you were actually taller. He thought you were taller than you actually were. That was kind of funny. And of course, didn't talk to either one of us because he's like, I can't do that for obvious reasons. Didn't want to be seen talking to us. But either way, this is the email that was sent to me, and some of it's going to come across a little bit harsh, but hey, it's coming. This I'm just going to read it verbatim here. For tonight, why are you being allowed to reveal these things? Is that a member of Xbox leadership wants to have some clarity to the people because they deserve it. This is all quoted, by the way. Public-facing executives will lie to your face. Example, Greenberg saying that Gears E-Day was never being worked on for PlayStation or that it wasn't pulled last minute. Both are lies. Leadership saying for years Xbox is doing better than ever is and has been a lie. It's been declining year over year for a long time. Double Fine is working on a plan to become independent, which you guys obviously already knew about. Ninja Theory was working on the same. And then continues, and Ninja Theory has now failed its buyout and is closing down. Not sure if Senua will even release. Continued. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 leadership will be held accountable, and that team is being reduced. Halo Studios is not safe. The road to creating Infinite was filled with failed projects, overspending, and Infinite did not do well. It had huge players, but not enough monetizing potential to make up for losses for years. You'll like this one. Gears of War E-Day is exclusive for now. Gears 2 Remake is still planned for multi-platform. I didn't even realize they were going to do that one. So as it stands for now, Gears 8 remains exclusive. I ask you all, he's addressing the chat, by the way, and all of us. I ask you all to remember that leadership said Starfield wasn't a timed exclusive either, but this time the PlayStation port is still being worked on so that if it needs launched, it can be released quickly and it won't have to be spun up from scratch. These referring to Gears E-Day. Helix is not releasing next year in 2027. That's not shocking to me. Helix is getting rescoped. The plans are not the plans that were including third-party stores. So that means no Steam or Epic would be on that console.
I can co-sign that.
Yeah,
just off of
I
my
agree with that
gut
too.
feeling, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that.
But you'll still be able to play all the games, just no stores. Yeah,
right.
Buy them on your own.
Exclusives. Okay, there you go. All right, as I continue, exclusives that are being looked at are from under the Xbox Studios umbrella. They are not Bethesda or Activision games. The Starfield test failed, and that data showed us that game didn't work financially and hurt us too much. Elder Scrolls and Fallout are not currently planned for exclusivity. Game Pass currently is making $5 billion in revenue a year, but the amount of money that it has cost the Xbox Store, I guess over the last decade, is closer to $100 billion over the years. That does not make it economically feasible, and these plans from SGF are tests under Sharma to see what the numbers are so that when more games are pulled from day one, they have better accountability for the reason. The numbers from Alinea for PlayStation are closer to accurate than not, but these numbers for games are worse on our storefronts. Blade gameplay was slow and kind of janky. It's dead. Gears and other games is a goodwill gesture to prime the market for a test. It's going to be a data point of how well AAA games perform exclusively on the Xbox console, which we also said. We said basically it's like a litmus test, right? Exclusively on the Xbox console. Minus Sarah and Remember Phil is still there as a guide. All the leadership is still the same. Halo is not going back to exclusivity, yet more data is needed before a final decision can be considered.
I don't think so.
And then, of course, that's fair enough. I'm just reading it. And PlayStation is not out to get Xbox. Why the PlayStation Store says Microsoft. Oh, that's something we talked about a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about how it said Microsoft. No,
what do you mean they're not out to get Xbox? PlayStation has two purposes: to make great games and make money, and to kill their competition and bury them so that they can rise to the top. Yeah,
that's not what he was referring to. You remember 3 weeks ago or whatever?
Yeah, we said that it doesn't say Xbox Studios on their
Yes,
store.
It doesn't say Xbox, it says Microsoft. So he wanted to clarify that. Sorry, it's not that PlayStation's not out to get Xbox. Sorry, let me finish the sentence. He says PlayStation's not out to get Xbox, with the PlayStation Store saying Microsoft. When Microsoft legal and financial teams set up the accounts to sell games, and where that money goes, they filled out the forms to say Microsoft and it Xbox, so you can blame Microsoft for that, not PlayStation. It says that's the way they had registered it with legal. So when it showed up on the PlayStation, he was just basically settling a bet you and I were having about that.
Okay.
And hold on, there was one more thing. Okay, Steam is... Oh, that's the last point. He says, Steam is no different than PlayStation as a third-party marketplace, and every time someone purchases an Xbox game on Steam, the data tells our leadership that the Xbox ecosystem is not good enough and games need to be multi-platform. So they said they were looking at that as a metric of not reading the metric properly as to games being sold. And it was coming across as not selling enough. The last thing he says, one more thing. Bethesda is not Xbox Studios because of the purchase agreement from the previous owner and the deal having certain terms on its independence unless it failed to meet certain financial obligations.
Which it did.
So,
yeah, I think the days of Bethesda...
And then he talked about Bungie layoffs.
Yeah, the days of
Bungie layoffs are coming.
Yeah, well, Bungie's got 800 employees. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of that sounds super speculative, like, and some of it also sounds logical, like based off of what anybody would be saying about the trajectory of Xbox. Some of it's like outright contradictory to what Matthew Ball and Asha Sharma have been saying to the media when they've been asked directly about what they're going to do with their platform. Matthew Ball saying that both of them said, we find that it's super important to have exclusives to build a healthy platform, something that Phil Spencer and Satya and Sarah and Tim Stewart didn't think was going to work for them, kind of blew back, and now they're doing the opposite. So, yeah, I mean, so Mag's reading a email from someone who is telling him that he has an inside track of what's going on with Xbox.
No, he works there.
Know that he works there. I don't know who this person is. I don't know anything about them. I can't corroborate or...
he was there at the mixer.
Yeah,
he was there at the mixer with you on Saturday night.
Yeah. I don't know who it is. Anyway. So, I mean, when it comes to inside information, like even Mag, like you could take it as, hey, we'll lay this out here, and how's your barometer on it? Like, you think it's believable? So, yeah, it is. Dreamcast guy wrote it. No, I mean, there is a lot of. I'm sure there's a lot of turmoil within. People are scared that their jobs are on the edge of a knife right now.
Look at how mad the chat is. Oh my God. All I did was read an email, guys. Like, of course you guys do the typical thing. Go after me. I'm just reading an email.
Yeah, but it was the janitor at Microsoft. Someone said, yeah, I know. It's so, take it as you will. Glizzard, thank you for the 2. Says new games for the rest of 2026. We need 48-hour days. There's so much to play. And I think I need to finish 007, and I need to finish Gears 4 with you, Dante, and then I need to get on to Black Flag. That's coming out very soon. Ultra Watt 6186, thank you for the 5. Says, leave it to Xbox to try and kill my 2026 New York Knicks NBA championship happiness. But hey, man, don't let it get you down. Matt, thank you for the 2. Says, is Fortnite also the problem why no one buys games? Yes, it is. That Fortnite, Roblox, Call of Duty, NBA 2K, Madden, like all these games take up 80% of people's time, on the console. And when you're putting out a brand new game, yeah, it sucks. Like, but I'm sure they're like, can you literally get off the ball game and play our new game? We made you this game we think you'll love. And I remember, you guys remember Dealer Gaming, my good friend? He was so hooked on NBA 2K. He was like, come play a game with me. And I played like a couple of rounds with him. And then I'm like, okay, I'm back to Cyberpunk back in 2020, 2021 or whatever it was. And he's like, I'm just playing basketball. I'm like, dude, play Cyberpunk. You'll love it. It's like everything you're going to love. And I couldn't get him off.
I remember that he was hooked on NBA. You remember that? Yep. Like, I remember that. Like every RDX, you would ask him and he'd be like, so Dealer, what are you playing? And he'd be like, I'm still playing NBA. I'm still playing NBA. He's like,
yeah, everyone always asks how Dealer's doing. I talk to him once in a while. He's not doing content, but he's just freaking cranking through games. And I'll tell you guys, being a content creator can be stressful. It could be the best thing ever, but it's just like one of those things that, he hasn't said anything about the content creation, but I know it's just one less thing to worry about. And he's just playing games. So he's doing great. Italian Gangsta, thank for sending a channel membership. Stitches, thank you for the ARS 100. Says next Xbox. Thank you, Stitches. The next Xbox is a PC. Ergo, in 2030, no one is developing for Xbox, just PlayStation and PC. Tell me they are not sunsetting the console. They are not sunsetting the console.
They're not.
What you're going to get is an Xbox/PC version of a game, because next generation will be a PC version that also plays an Xbox Series console. When Mag said that guy said there's going to be no storefronts, this is something that I've speculated on. Like I've said many times, there's going to be storefronts for PC like Epic and Steam and Ubisoft Connect, but it's very possible that the Helix will not have the store on them, that you'll have to install them yourself. Like you won't have to like crack or jailbreak anything that you can, but it's not going to ship with Steam on the box. You'll have to do that yourself. Or if you want to buy a game, do it on your browser on your phone and then launch it directly from the Xbox dashboard, which Holly and Dante and I do right now on PC. I load up the Xbox app with the touch of my controller and I launch Crimson Desert off of Steam, and I don't even have to look at Steam if I don't want to. So I think that's what's going to happen.
That makes sense.
Woo, yes.
Like,
Hargy Chani, one more. Hold that thought. Hargy Chani says, with a 59 months membership, he says, well, all good things must come to an end. Xbox now is just like PlayStation. Game Pass is dead. Shout out to the panel. I think he's kidding. I hope so. Spartan, than's for saying channel memberships.
It sounds like
you
he's
say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, Hargeet? How you doing?
Sorry. One of you was saying something, and all I could hear was my loud voice.
No, it was Dante who was talking. He was just
Dante.
He was just agreeing with you. I think.
No, I was just saying that makes sense, right? Like, why would you, if you want to focus back on your brand, why would you basically potentially push sales of games through another storefront?
Yeah, that's what
right?
we were
The idea
saying.
is to be able to get as much of that money as possible. So
yeah, that's what we were saying. It said like Steam didn't make much sense, because then when people start seeing those Steam sales and everything else, all of a sudden people start gravitating towards Steam, which, let's face it, out of the 4 storefronts that are out there between Nintendo, Sony, Xbox, and Steam, Steam is the superior store across the board. So people kind of like just kind of, you know what I mean, gravitating towards there, and then then Microsoft has taken a 70% cut instead of a 100% cut, right? So, as a publisher fee or whatever. So that would be a bit of a thing. But hey, whatever, man. We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out.
Okay. We should have got to this a long time ago, but Holly, Craig Duncan and Matt Gordon and Luis O'Connor have left Xbox before all of these actual studio closures were breaking news. Craig Duncan was the head of Xbox Game Studios. Mark Gordon was the head of Treyarch for Call of Duty. And then Luis O'Connor, which I didn't realize she still worked within Xbox. She was a chief. Oh crap! I wrote it down somewhere else. Chief of staff. Whatever that means, like for the president or something. Your thoughts on these big figureheads leaving?
Yeah, she started at Rare in 1999, and she's kind of bounced around since then. It's a long time. She's had a long career. I mean, it's not. Craig's a little surprising just because he'd only been in the role like 18 months. That's pretty short, but at the the end of the day, it's not really surprising because people at that level have a very high salary, right? And so as you start looking at where you can start to save some money here and there, I mean, the longer you are, the more money you make, the higher liability, right? And I think, people with their pedigree won't have a problem finding another job somewhere where they'll be, heavily utilized. And it's just not surprising that they would choose to step down, at this point. And it sounded like they were going to make two people the co-heads of Treyarch, and what I was hearing from that afterwards. So that makes sense. It's probably a little reorganization as well within the within the areas that they're leaving, so that they can trim down additionally further, right, and consolidate some positions. Yeah, I just think I don't think it reflects negatively on any of them. I think it's just a matter of reorganization and cutting positions and looking for ways to sort of streamline.
Yeah. I mean, people are like wondering, Craig Duncan, head of Rare, Sea of Thieves, canceled Everwild, during his like departure into Xbox Game Studios. Dante, what's your thoughts about Craig Duncan? And people are actually calling like, what the heck's going on with Matt Booty? I think it seems like he's pretty secured right now, but what are your thoughts about the head of Xbox Game Studios and the guy that's leading his charge?
Surviving. No, sorry. None. I feel like it's a reorganization, man. It's getting rid of the old guard and restructuring it with whatever she wants to do going forward for the brand. That's the way I take it, right? Yeah, I mean, and I agree with Holly. Like, yes, unfortunately, the longer you're with a company and you get to a particular stature where your salary's up there, pretty much, you become like the easier chopping block, right? Especially if you get kind of what they call long in the tooth. So it makes you more of a target. So some of it could be cost cutting, but to me, the bigger part I feel is just kind of restructuring to kind of, she could be able to say that whatever happens with Xbox in the next 5 years were the people that she put in place to execute on her vision, right? And then and so not like I was basically still working off of people who had something in place beforehand that was potentially fighting against. I'm not saying that that's happening, but I can understand that point, that CEOs can come in and say, hey, I don't want to have to deal with that, right? I want to basically execute my vision. Thank you for everything that you've done. But we're going to go kind of a different direction. So I think part of it seems to be a restructuring, and yeah, that's my take.
To your point too, like as a manager, like you are only as good as the people that you put in place, like directly below you to manage the teams that you have. So if you have, like, you have to know how to trust, and you have to have a good trust relationship with everybody in your close circle to understand what's going on. If you need information, you need to be able to call on them and know that you're getting good information, right? Like your pipeline to what's happening in your company is only as good as the people that you have around you. So it might not be that there's anything negative with them, but she might have people that she wants to bring in as well too, right? To your point, that she very much trusts and knows that will do the things that she wants them to do.
So, Mag, who's going to take over as Xbox Game Studios lead?
Don't know.
Do you have anybody on your top list that you're going to pick and put in the ballot box?
I think it'll be someone we don't know. I think it'll be right now. Matt Booty's is like basically the acting director now of that. Like, so any issues or whatever concerns go to him now directly until they hire somebody else. So yes, like to everybody's point there, like it wasn't just like a position that was actually just eliminated, not to be replaced. It actually will be a replaced position. So I think they gave him an option to say, hey, listen, you've been here a long time, whatever. We'll give you a hell of a retirement package. You know what I mean? Very similar to like how the whole Phil Spencer thing went down. Give him a big retirement package. He can go snowboarding for the rest of his life with Phil and do whatever, right? So like, you know what I mean? They can go do that stuff. And then same thing with now Louise O'Connor. She's been with Rare since 1999, I think it is. So like between that and of course taking the chief of staff position in August of 2025 with Craig Duncan. So up to that point, she was with them for damn near 25 years, almost 26 years. So I think at that point as well, you get that situation where like, hey, listen, we're going to go in this direction. Like Dante was sort of was alluding to, and said, hey, we're going in this direction. We're going to do this. Let's give you a really attractive retirement package that you can walk away. Now, you can go get another job, or you could just retire. Like either way, we'll give you enough to walk away with. And that's exactly what happens. I mean, listen, I'd take it too. I would take it too, especially in the sitting in the big shadow of all of these cuts and the uncertainty and studio closures and game cancellations and layoffs. I would get the hell out of there too while you have a chance. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to take care of your own when it comes to corporate. What do you know what I mean? You got to take care of yourself and your family. And I would take off too. I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. Give me whatever. What do you offer me? Okay, I'll take that. And then
BT Maverick said,
then
hire David Jaffe.
I don't think she's going to hire industry people. I really don't think so. Like,
what about Shuhei Yoshida, Mag?
That's what I was thinking.
Right. Now, I think she's going to stay away from those people. She's going to hire her own people. Like the 5 people that she hired from OpenAI or the AI, whatever, the core AI, may not be from that department. But I'm saying maybe people that she knows that, maybe we'll gel with that, the whole brand new team kind of thing. I don't know. I'm not really 100% sure, but my gut tells me that it's not going to be an industry veteran.
Yeah, probably won't be.
I think it'll be somebody new, younger.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Beer Baron has it. Says hire Sean Layden. I know Sean Layden's been in the industry for a long time, but he has that gusto.
Those guys are all done, man. They're all done. They're all done.
I mean, he's still working for 10
They're not going to go back to those jobs.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying like they're not going to go and take over the studio.
But if they did something like that, like I don't think it would happen, but the benefit is relationships, right? Those are the guys who can go into certain rooms, have conversations with certain studios and developers and say, let's get your game onto this particular platform and not sign some type of exclusive, some type of money hat deal with Sony. Like that would be the only potential benefit for hiring someone like a Sean Layden or Hayes.
But I mean,
like again,
you see a trend.
It won't happen, but that's the only potential positive I can see.
Yeah, but you see the trend. She's hired 5 people that are not in the industry, including herself. Right, so that'd be 6 people that they had now running Xbox that actually have no experience in the video game world. So they're going for a whole new, fresh perspective of like, which I don't mind. I think it's a great idea because you have like a third party sort of outsider looking in on the situation, and you have a much less biased look at the industry because now you're just looking at the dollars and cents of it as opposed to, well, my best buddy over there runs that studio. You know what I mean? And I don't want anything to happen to them or this and that. They're just looking at it from the outside, and that's a whole different thing. And I think that may be exactly what they needed. I talked about it on Friday on my show. I just basically said they need tough love, not coddling at this point. So I think the tough love route might be the route.
Yeah, she said we can't keep doing the same thing, expecting different results.
Yeah.
And it seems like having Luis O'Connor and Craig Duncan step down is getting rid of the last like Xbox One era management. And I know Matt Booty came in and
they were there since 360, no?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, kind of. And Matt Booty I know Matt Booty came into prominence in 2019 at the very end of the Xbox One generation. A lot of people are like, why is he still there? But Matt Booty has some of the fire that you guys are asking for. Like he said in the ABK trial, we have the means to spin PlayStation out of business. And you could translate that into, we're not going to spin PlayStation out of business. We should at least make it look like we're trying to really compete. So let me grab this right here. Let's see. Spartan, thank you for 5 channel memberships. Dark CMF has a question for Holly and Dante. Great panel tonight, he says. Thank you for the 5, Dark. Which butter was better? At Fleming's.
We went this year too.
Yep. In your honor, bro. Yeah.
We did.
Yep. We went to Fleming's, this restaurant in Los Angeles. My wife and I, Dante, Holly, and Ben, right? And it was, oh my gosh, it was expensive. And I asked for like the butter trio. They have this really delicious butter you can put on your steak or whatever. And I get it, and it was like 3 balls of butter that are flavored like garlic, a raspberry or something. And what was the other one? I don't remember.
Raspberry.
What was it?
Basil
Dante, you remember?
or something like that.
Yeah, $8.
Nah, I just remember you saying that frozen, and I was like, well, not gonna try it. So
yeah, so I was like trying to carve a piece off and hoping that it would melt on my steak. And Dante ordered this expensive fish that was frozen. I'm like, come on, you guys. What is this? Xbox Studios running this restaurant? What's going on here? But no, we appreciate you. Matt says, is Fortnite to blame? Well, I know on buys games. I think you said this one twice, but yeah, it kind of is. We covered it. He also says, I wish that Fortnite would shut down. No, man, you don't want that. Like, Fortnite's great. My kids play it. It's really healthy for the industry that there's a game that people are playing. You know, IPs and franchises are making money off of it. You know, it helps sell consoles. I mean, it is one of the console selling games. Like, if you're talking about what compels people to buy a console, it's something like Fortnite or Call of Duty. Like, those are the real console sellers. So anyway, you guys have been amazing. Thank you so much for putting up with such a long show. I gotta sell my panel. They're amazing. I have two guests here with Mag and I. We got Holly, that blue number. You can go check out her channel and subscribe to her, help her grow her channel while she creates more content. And Dante, who is an amazing friend and also on the Infinite podcast. And you know what? He'll be wherever he wants to be. But you guys are awesome. Holly, what do you have to say to everybody as we sign out? It's been a crazy, crazy day.
I don't know. I just thanks for having me, and chat. You are lovely as usual, and I will see you there and appreciate you all. And I saw a few of you subscribe, so thank you. And it'll be okay. Xbox will be okay.
Oh yeah.
It'll be okay.
That's good.
It'll be
I want you guys to do this on the outros. Thank you. I appreciate it. When can we expect your next piece of content? Are you working on something now? In secret?
I am working on I'm going to do a lot of coverage for Exodus, which is coming out in early 2027. And so my first video is just kind of going over a little bit of what we saw that got kind of hidden under everything else that happened in the Summer Games Fest weekend. So that should be coming out this week. And then I'm going to try to start doing a bunch more Exodus content along with some live stream. So that's
awesome. Dante J. Moody, my good friend, thank you so much for being here. Yep. What do you have to tell everybody? Where can they find you, and how can they follow you around and take pictures of your feet and send them to me?
First off, I want to tell everybody, now, chat, you guys are awesome. You have a very, 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 very cool chat. A lot of good support, and I love to see everyone interacting really, really cool. Like, I didn't see a bunch of toxicity, if I can actually use my words tonight. Everyone's basically, like, even amongst the doom and gloom, everyone's having some good constructive conversations. So you guys are amazing. Thank you, Colt and Mag, for having me, man. It's good to see you boys again. It seems like just yesterday we were all hanging together and having a great old time. Now we're back to the grind. Ain't that right, Holly? But yeah, it's been a pleasure to come in and chat with you guys. I wish it was underneath more happier circumstances, but maybe this is like the darkness before we see some better light as this business evolves for Asha. Let's hope, right? Let's hope that, like, this is the dark time and we can see ourselves through the tunnel. You can catch me on the socials, Dante J. Moody, and I do the Infinite podcast with Holly, Risk It, on Fridays, generally Fridays when Risk It can make it. So come check us out on Friday. And we love you guys. You guys are great.
Yeah, thanks, bro. I appreciate it. Meg, everybody knows who you are. Tell us what you're working on, and tell us, like, what your last words are about where Xbox is sitting and where you think they're going to go. And
they're fine.
Of course, push your stuff, bro.
Yeah, they're fine. They're gonna be fine. They're gonna continue on doing the thing, like I said on Friday's show, and I didn't really get to talk about it tonight. But I said they're just gonna be leaner, a little meaner, and crack it. Making an omelet, you have to crack a few eggs, and that's the way it's gonna be. Now, am I happy about it? Not particularly. I don't want to see those games go away. I don't want to see those studios go away, but. Well, we talked about all the reasons as to why, and again, not pleased about the situation at all. But it is what it is. But I've had people like messaging me for like all day saying, "Are they going to be going away?" I'm like, "No, there's no like that's not happening, guys. Relax."
As much as Mag wants them,
don't sell your Xbox. You'll still have an Xbox to play on. You're still going to have a community. You're still going to have an ecosystem. Not a problem. But anyways, besides all that, Magcast obviously tomorrow night, and we will talk more in detail about more information that comes out or continues to come out, because it's not going to end today. It's going to keep going on for the next couple of weeks. And Holly, Dante, you guys are absolutely amazing. It's to actually hang out with you in real life, and you guys were so accommodating and so welcoming. And I honestly felt like we were all just friends that we've known each other for years. And even just sitting down, like having dinner that one night at the Mexican place, and Colt's wife was there and Ben was there, and I'm like, I just feel like I've known you guys forever. And it's been, like I said, you guys have been so welcoming and so wonderful. So it was an absolute pleasure. I look forward to seeing you guys in person again. Chat, you're always amazing as always. And yeah, like I said, tomorrow night, Magcast, I may be a little harsher than I am tonight, but that's usually how Magcast goes. Friday's Magcast, I broke records finally. We had over 260 live viewers on that show. That's the biggest I've ever had. So yeah, there's a lot of people coming to check it out now. And anyways, either way, tomorrow night's going to be a barn burner, folks. So we'll see you there. And of course, as more news breaks, more videos come. So anyways, thank you guys all for the support. We'll see you guys all. Colt, love you, man. Holly, Dante, love you guys. Chat, you're awesome. We'll see you guys. I appreciate
it. I'll give my quick final thoughts. Matt, thank you for the two. Says Unreal Tournament coming back or Crisis 4. I don't know. I haven't heard about that, but I would love to see Quake come back. Hargeet's got a $10. Thank you so much, Hargeet. Says in a few years they'll have Call of Duty Studios, Blizzard King, Bethesda, ZeniMax, Playground with Turn 10 folded in, Mojang and Rare and Coalition. The rest will be shut down. Boring. I don't know if there's a lot of studios there. I don't think they're all going to get shut down, like Obsidian and stuff. But we'll see. My quick thoughts. I think it's going to really suck, and our hearts and thoughts go out to the people who could be losing their jobs, and it's going to be really difficult to get on their feet in this current landscape. But I think Xbox is definitely in for the long haul, and I want to see them do great. I'm tired of the roller coaster, but beside all that, I'm super excited about the games. I'm super excited about the hardware and some of the features of Game Pass and the way they're going to change things. I'm excited about that. So it's hard for me to be really upset when I know there's so much more they're doing that I can be excited about as a gaming fan. So it's really difficult time. Thank you guys so much for putting up with this. We talked about this. Hit the like button on the way out and comment. I will be giving away an Xbox jacket. I will cover through that. Thank you for your support, and on the road to 200,000 subscribers by the end of the year if I can keep this up, because you guys have been amazing. Magnum says, Colt, give us a Jerry Springer style ending to the show. I couldn't if I wanted to, but you guys are amazing.
Stand against a brick wall.
Bye, guys. We love you. Thank you so much for your support. And I will, Dante, we're going to play some Gears in the next day or two. So, yep. All right. Thank you, everybody. Go subscribe and follow these guys on Twitter. We're out.